Happy birthday to me. This is our birthday live stream, sort of. It's in 49 minutes on the East Coast. But for my birthday, we'll be doing NFL win total bets, our final NFL win total bets. If we get through everything today, then we'll do it. But we'll see. We're going to start with the AFC and the NFC. We're also going to discuss NFL preseason betting. Of course, we have the NFL Hall of Fame game starting in less than 24 hours. So we'll discuss that for a little bit to start the show, and then get into the win totals. So before we get into everything, please
By the way, the good thing is the first Hall of Fame game will be over in less than 24 hours.
That's true. That is a plus. All right, we're before we get into everything, please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit the link in the description for the merch store. As always, wearing something from the merch store. It's our famous money laundering T-shirt, which everyone loves. You can get that at the merch store as well as everything else. 20% off sale right now. We have so much here. You can change the shirts into different colors, or long sleeve hoodie, women's tank top, infant onesie, a lot more. We have a lot more here, including baby bibs, blankets.
What's the one
aprons,
with
mugs.
what's the one with the deck of cards on it? That sounds interesting. With
The one with
the hand of cards. Yeah, that one, right
this one,
on the
it's
far right.
just
Yeah.
yeah, it's just playing cards. You can get Walter football playing cards with the logo on the
Oh,
back.
I thought you were going to be showing like why you chose that hand as opposed to like
Oh,
a
that.
flush.
Well, yeah, that'd be a good hand, right? But
Those are playing cards. That's not okay. I thought that was on a T-shirt. That's a deck of cards,
oh,
actually. Okay,
yeah, it
playing
is.
cards
Yeah, right, right.
as opposed to a poker hand on a T-shirt. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just playing. So if you want playing cards, you can order here. 10% off sale here with the Walter Football logo. Anything here would help us out a bunch. Also, you go to Amazon, buy my books. That would help
By
too.
the way, excuse me.
Yeah.
What's the one next to the deck of cards?
This one, that is a
Yeah.
mouse. That's a mouse pad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, mouse pad. You can get everything here. We don't have everything, but we have a lot, so you can get that.
Yeah.
On Amazon, we have my books, Jerks of the College Years, which is the most recent one. It's soon to not be the most recent one because my other one is almost finished. But you can make fun of. I made fun of all these people plus many others because I spent 6 years at Penn State, so I had a lot of writing material. My first book was The Safety and a Field Goal, which is a top 5 topic book about the NFL. And please consider super chats and super stickers. That is the best way to support the show. We had a week ago, we had Kevin Kovac giving us $25 in super chats, and then Harambe Slayer, he gave us $4.99 in super chats 3 days in a row, or 3 shows in a row. So thank you so much, Harambe Slayer and Kevin Kovac. You're really carrying us here. Just really appreciate the help. It means a lot because, as I always say, and it's true, YouTube barely pays us. It's like a buck or two if we're lucky on the show. Chris says, "Hey guys, glad to see you back in full swing." Yes, football is right around the corner. And then Drew says, "Happy early birthday, Walt." Drew, I listened to the show about Flock Fantasy. It was a good one. All right, and we're joined by Andy Iskoe from thelogicalapproach.com. Andy, how are you?
I am fine, and yeah, you beat me to the punch because I was going to wish you a happy birthday at the top of the next hour, but you beat me to it. You and Evan, right?
That's right. We shared the same birthday. I don't know
What
how.
was it? The 86ers?
The 86ers. That's going to be our team name. Yeah, the 86ers is going to be a team name in Circa Millions. So hopefully this is your.
Who's older, you or Evan?
Well, I mean, I don't
think
know.
It's pretty close.
I'm probably the betting favorite. I think I'm a year or two older. I think I'm not completely sure, but I think I am.
Hold
I don't
on.
know.
I may actually have that information if I can find it here. Because when you're both entered in Circa, and
Right.
the default password is your birth year.
Okay.
Or at least, it still is. At Westgate, it's now a default password. It's different, but let me see here. Okay.
I think I'm 1 or 2 years. I'm guessing.
Older? You gonna say older?
I think I'm 1 or 2 years older. Yeah.
Okay. Let me
Very
go down
exciting.
here just a moment.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
Let's see. You want to make yourself the favorite?
Yes.
Okay. You want me to tell the years?
Well, you could say how many years I'm older than him. I mean, in case he doesn't want his year out, you know.
Oh, okay. All right, let's see. Wait a second. Where did I put it here? Maybe I didn't put it here. I thought I did. Let me try it again. Hold on a second here. I got to go back and find out when You both signed up last year, and I think you know what I'm
Okay.
going to do because I'm going to go to this. I'm going to go to Survivor because I think that's where I actually list them all. Okay, I've got one, and I think I've got. Did you do Survivor last year? I don't think you did.
No, no, I've never done this.
But I think I know your year, and if
Okay.
I'm correct in your year, you would be 2 years older.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, makes sense. I think I remember him telling them. I'm not completely sure, but it's somehow new. So maybe he did tell me. Um, yeah. Anyway, Drew says thank you, Walt. Put a good amount of effort into the video. People now are telling me I shouldn't have done a simulator, and I responded back with saying the sleeper simulator dressed better than. Well, yeah. I mean, it is. It was a good video. Liked how your average person likely dressed better than the guy who replied to me as well. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, it's nice to have a tool like that helping you, but I think that making the actual decisions is the better way to do it. So, all right, Andy, we have as you mentioned, we have a game coming up. It is the Hall of Fame game. It is Panthers at the Cardinals, technically, but it's in Canton, Ohio. The Panthers are 1.5 point favorites.
I thought,
Um,
yeah, let me see, because I thought I had heard that that game was down to a pick 'em.
Okay. Well, on
Let me
DraftKings
get
it's
it.
-1.5, and I could look on
I
FanDuel.
am
It is also
showing
one
it.
and a half. It's
I
also
am
one and a half.
showing
For FanDuel.
in some places Carolina. I am actually showing. No, I'm actually showing one across the board. It
Okay.
had been 1.5 in most places last night. I'm showing here, at least in Vegas, we're talking about uh, Carolina one.
Okay. Well, the Panthers are the favorite, I assume, because of Haynes King, his ability to run. I know
Yeah.
he had a lot of support in the pre-draft process, and he didn't. It's not like he was drafted high or anything, but like people saw him run around in college, and so the mobile quarterbacks tend to have an advantage in the preseason because they're going against slower players and not the elite speed players that you see who start. So I can
Who's
understand why the
the
Panthers.
slowest of Minshew and Carson Beck, and who's the other one that's not Brissett? Who's the third quarterback that might
There's
see action for
the
Arizona tomorrow?
Slovis, the old
In
quarterback
addition
from
to
USC.
Minshew and Beck.
Well, Minshew's not going
What's
to
that?
play. I don't think. I don't think Minshew's going to play.
Okay, he's not. Well,
Beck is going to
Beck is going to
start.
start.
Yeah, and he will
And
play.
who's
I
the backup?
assume Caden Slovis, the old quarterback from
Okay, that's
USC.
who it is. Yeah.
Yeah, so I assume that Haynes King will play a half because Kenny Pickett will start for the Panthers. I think if I were to guess, I'd say Beck will play 3 quarters, and then Slovis will have mop-up duty in the fourth quarter.
I
So
just wonder
I
if they
think,
might. I would just wonder if they might not just both go a half.
yeah, I maybe, but the Cardinals need to see what they have in Beck.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't think Haynes King is the future of the Panthers, but Beck, if Beck plays well this year, he could be the future of the Cardinals. So they should see what they have in him. So that's why I guess there'll be 3 quarters for Beck and a quarter for Slovis. That's just, I mean, we don't really know what they're going to do. They don't announce this or anything. So yeah, I can understand why the Panthers are favored for that reason. I will say that if you're looking to bet the Panthers, be careful because Dave Canales is 1-4 in the preseason straight up. So he doesn't seem to care about winning these games. But then again, we don't know what Michael LaFleur is going to be. He's a new coach, so that's why I'm not betting this game. You wanted to talk about this? Any insight into this, or are you going to bet, or what are you doing here?
Well, no, I do not bet the preseason for some very simple reasons. Number one, you're seeing backups competing for positions on the depth chart. Starters rarely play. Okay.
Yeah.
And the coaches, I don't think they give a damn about winning. They may say they do, but if some of them don't really care, some of them come out and say they don't really care. What's the purpose of preseason? It's to determine the 53 best players for your active roster starting the season. End of story. That's it. Yeah, you may want to work on a few things in certain plays, but you're not game planning like you do for the regular season. Now, when you scrimmage in the week during the team that you're going to face, a few days later in a preseason game, the coaches very often will have us say, hey, we'd like to work on this on offense and this on defense. And the opposing team will say, oh, that's good because we want to do the opposite on our side. And they have a little agreement and they work on that during the week and then they do it during the game. But, as far as winning the game, I'll give you another reason why. Um, let me ask you: is the game on the line in the first quarter or the fourth quarter? Just like every other game. When's the game on the line?
Fourth
Generally,
quarter. Fourth quarter.
if the idea is to win, why do you play your best quarters in the first quarter for a possession or two instead of the fourth quarter when the game's going to be won or lost? That tells you all you need to know right there.
Yeah. I do think some coaches put more thought or more of a game plan into these preseason games. Like John Harbaugh, for example, has had an amazing track record in the preseason.
Well, he's it's like there's always an outlier or two. He's one of them, but even then, he hasn't had the greatest success lately. We'll see. It's different with the Giants with his first year. But the other thing is really so many of these games are decided on random plays at the end of the game. You don't make you say game plan. I don't think they game plan, or let's put it this way: if they game plan around what they want to do on offense and what they want to do on defense. Has nothing to do with the opponent they're playing.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Harbaugh, by the way, was 3-0 last year, so he
I
rebounded.
think he had a few bad years before that. Yeah, 2 or 3.
Yeah, I mean, I could tell you he so the past 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, past 9 years. So he went 4-0, 4-0, 5-0, 4-0, 3-0, 3-0, and then he went 1-2, 1-2, and then 3-0 again. So he bounced back as part of the reason why had a lot of success last preseason betting. We went 7-2-1 in the preseason last year. So unfortunately, a lot of the bets went on Harbaugh, who's not on Baltimore anymore. He's technically, I mean, he's on the Giants, but we don't know how he's going to treat that situation. And then a lot of our bets were also on Tomlin, who's also had a great track record in the preseason. Tomlin's record was pretty good as well. It was 42-28. He in the past
that's
4 years,
straight up or ATS.
Straight up. So in the past 4 years, he's been 8-4. Actually, it's better if you go the past 8 years. He is 20-8 in the past 8 years. So he's been someone I've been betting on a lot. And I also like to keep track of how certain coaches do in week 1, week 2, week 3. Some coaches put a lot more emphasis in winning week 1. Some coaches put a lot more emphasis winning week 3. John Harbaugh, I believe, had just an impeccable record. Like if you look at how he's done week 1 of the preseason, he's 16-2 in his career. And in week 4, which granted doesn't exist anymore, but back when it did, he was only 7-5. So it didn't seem like he cared too much about week 4, whereas he wanted to get his team off to a win right away. And week 2 was also pretty good, 13-4.
That's how we explain things after the fact, by the way. Because how many of those games did they win, or were they decided on a fluke play at the end of the game? We remember, you're trying in the regular season for the most part, okay? Mm-hmm. In the preseason, you're working on things. And look, I could be in the minority here, and look, if it works, it works. But I don't go into a preseason game expecting my team to win. I'm looking to see what when I look at a preseason game, when I watch them, I look at execution. I'm looking at reaction of defenses as far as that. I'm looking at how fluid or how in sync the offensive plays are. Winning and losing to me is. And again, there are exceptions, and you just pointed out Harbaugh will be the exception for the next 50 years about winning in preseason. But I'm wondering how many other coaches have anything like a significant record, either above or below 500 against the spread, not straight up against the spread.
Well, I mean, the spreads are pretty close to 0. Like Mike Zimmer was awesome too. He was 20-8. He had a great record. Some coaches have an abysmal record. Zach Taylor, maybe this is why the Bengals get off to a slow start, but part of the reason Zach Taylor's only 4-14 in the preseason. So,
well, by the way, one of the factors that I would say, if you do like to look at the preseason, is the competition amongst key positions, especially quarterback. I think that might make a difference. And again, the winning isn't necessarily because they're trying to win, but they have the better players out there trying to execute more. In other words, if you've got let's say, for example, if Michael Penix Jr. was healthy, he and Tua would be in a competition. Jacoby Brissett and J.J. McCarthy are in a quarterback competition. So there may be extra incentive. What's that?
Kyler Murray, not Brissett.
who did I say? Brissett? Yeah, Brissett. Well, he and Carson Beck. No, that's right. Kyler Murray and J.J. McCarthy are in a quarterback battle. So that may be more of a reason if the opponent that they are facing does not have a quarterback battle per se. They're just they're just they're just playing these games to stay healthy. That's the two things you want to do. Check your are you in sync? Are you executing? And can you stay healthy? I mean, look at the Carolina Panthers and all the season-ending injuries they've already had in the first week of training
camp. You mean the Niners? I think.
The Panthers. Panthers.
Who the Panthers? Who the Panthers have?
They lost an offensive players. Yeah, I don't have it in front of me, but a couple of ACL, PCL things, surgeries that they have going.
Well, I know Atlanta lost
today, as a matter of fact.
Atlanta lost Jalen Walker for
right.
the year.
That was the one I think that I saw today. Carolina's lost a couple over the last 4 or 5 days.
I'm like, none come to mind. Maybe I just missed it. I didn't see any. But anyway, I mean, obviously you want to stay healthy. Even if you have a quarterback competition, like they generally don't play all that much in the preseason. Like sometimes it's weird. They'll just do it in practice, and like even like talking about the 53-man team. Like I remember like
I saw Nick Scorton for the Panthers.
Yeah, that was
torn ACL. Brazil,
right?
He has a torn LCL in the left knee.
Yep.
And let's see. Today they placed offensive lineman Sadiq Charles.
Okay, I didn't see that one. Okay.
Yeah, that was today. So he was a backup, not a starter. But I mean, that's the key thing that you want to pay attention to during the preseason as to the injuries, the extent of the injuries as far as how much time they're going to miss, and what's the backup situation. I mean, look, that's one of the things, again, that Jim Harbaugh did great last year, managing 12 wins. What was it, 12 wins or 11 wins after they lost their, their left tackle in the preseason, Slater, and then they lost Alt, and I think they even had the backup to Alt go down for a game or two.
Yeah, it was a complete mess. And somehow they still made the playoffs, which is pretty remarkable.
And then they remembered in the playoffs they're the Chargers.
Yep. Yeah. Well, to be fair, like Herbert was injured and everyone else is injured. Like there's nothing they could have done in that game. We'll see. I have more faith. I have more faith in them this year. Although the clip of Justin Herbert and his I don't know if his girlfriend or fiance or wife, whatever, like just being on a blanket and on a picnic during training camp, like it's like kind of weird. But I don't know.
What happened there?
Justin Herbert and his girl were like having a picnic during training camp. They were sitting like on a blanket, and she was like stroking his hair as everyone was practicing. I was like, shouldn't you be practicing here? It was very, very weird. But I don't know. People are.
Maybe you got time. Like, I thought you were going to mention there was an injury or something, like he slipped on a potato chip or something.
Yeah, well, that's bound to happen, right? Especially if he was with the Niners. We've seen so many Niner injuries too. It's crazy. But okay. Anyway, let's jump into the win totals. Real quick. Like I'm not going to bet this one. I'm going to wait till the next week for some bettable games here. I will be playing some DFS, but nothing crazy. Okay, so let's get to the win totals. And we will start with the AFC, and I guess it makes sense to go division by division. So we'll start with the alphabetically. We'll start the Bills. They are 10.5 win total here. I don't know how you wanted to do this, but what do you think about this win total here for the Bills? 10.5 minus 120.
10.5. I haven't played it to the extent that I'm going to yet, but I'm going over the 10.5. It's one of the ones that I like. I mean, their track history, I think it's been a smooth transition from McDermott to Brady, and I think the defense is going to be somewhat better than last year. So I think this team's capable of winning 11 or more games. I think even more games than that. So I may actually look at the over 11.5 as well. And I think that they will retake the crown in the AFC East.
I think they will as well. I bet them over 11.5 plus 165, and over 12.5 plus 308 so far. So I'm doing the alt lines here. As we talked about before, I don't want to put too much money, like hold up too much money on these futures if they pay out like pretty evenly. But you have like 11.5 here is plus 154, 12.5 plus 290 now. So the price has gone down a little bit, but I still like it. This is, I think, the best team in the division. Now I don't like their chances week one. What you could do is if they lose to Houston, you could bet them over after that, get a better number. That's like the one caveat. I was actually doing that right up today, Bills Texans for week one, just trying to get a jump on things. And I think I will be in Houston on week one, just given that I feel like they match up so well against the Bills, and they beat them twice in the past couple of years.
Yeah, well, that may have Buffalo's attention, I think, a little bit more, especially with the new coach in there taking over. What's the line on that one right now?
Bills
Week
Houston. It is something here. It is Bills are -1.5 in Houston.
Yeah, that's not unreasonable, but obviously there's time to go want to see the situation, but I think you can make good cases for both teams.
What would be the case for Buffalo, out of curiosity? Because I can make the good one for Houston.
Well, you've got offense, you've got Houston's defense, both very strong units.
Well,
maybe it comes down to Houston's offense against Buffalo's defense.
So, for me, like looking at Buffalo's offense, they allowed 8 sacks to.
I'll tell you what. Why don't we hold that off till we go over week one so we can get the. I don't mind doing it now, but if we do that on every game, we'll never get through half the league.
That's definitely true.
Especially since you have put a strict 2-hour time limit.
Yeah, I've have some things to do. So yeah, we're here for 2 hours. Okay, so the next team in the AFC East, we have the Miami Dolphins. Their total, it says 3.5 -150. The under 3.5 plus 120. If you go to 4.5, it is -146.
On which side? Which side on Miami? 146. What's the over on Miami?
Okay, so over 3.5 is -150.
No, 4.5.
Over 4.5 is plus 122.
Plus 22, and what's the under 4.5?
Under 4.5 is -146. Under 3.5 is plus 120. So you get your pick here. This is really a 4, but they, like we talked about, they don't offer whole numbers here. What are your thoughts on Miami? Because we had I think Sports Illustrated came out with their predictions, and they had Miami at 1-16.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't have much of an opinion on this one. Haven't decided on the over or the under. Now, I rate my selections. I usually like a full recommendation, a strong opinion, and a weak opinion.
Okay.
And I haven't decided on Buffalo, for example. That's a recommendation. That one I definitely like the over. Okay. Now Miami, as far as that goes, I'm looking at it as a weak opinion, but I haven't decided which way. It's easy to make a case for the under because, can this team go 5-12? Well, what did they win last year? 7? I know that maybe they were a better team last year. I don't know. But it's tough for me to go under very low numbers, even though at the beginning of the season, it's very easy to make a case for a team to stay under. Yeah, I made my own mistake. You don't go under, you stay under. You start under, you stay under until you go over. But Miami could win a couple of games just by accident. So if anything, I would. It would be a weak opinion. Right now, I lean over, but that could change. And if I change, it would be a weak opinion on the under. But I haven't decided yet.
Okay, I think I would go under. The problem is the under 4.5 is -146, which is a bad number to lay. So if you want to do 3.5, you get plus 120, which is okay. I think I would rather go plus 120 than the -146. Or even 2.5 is plus 310, which is a little nuts, but it could get there. It looks like Miami, at least their ownership, wants to lose. Now the players are going to want to try to win. The coaches are going to want to try to win, but the ownership, I think, wants to tank for Arch Manning. They've had Stephen Ross has had a history of that. Like he tried to tank with Brian Flores as his coach, and he got in trouble for that. And I think he's trying to do it again. So I think
and when Arch Manning is not even invited to the Heisman Trophy dinner, how will that look?
Well, there's still Dante Moore. You know, there's gonna be a good quarterback.
And if he's not invited to the Heisman Trophy dinner,
well, there's gonna be someone.
I think it is stupid to waste an entire season just so you can get a player. I don't know that either Dante Moore or Arch Manning is considered a generational talent.
I don't know. I mean, I know people think highly of Arch Manning. Dante Moore has some issues, but he looks pretty good. How
much of all this is hype put out by athletic directors and coaches and the guys who want to recruit? Oh, this guy's the best guy I've seen in the last 25 years. Ryan Lee.
I don't know. I mean, it's I have eyeballs. I saw them both play. I mean, like they're both really good. Arch Manning had a rough start to his season last year, but that was against Ohio State, and then he got better each week, and he was awesome by the end. And Dante Moore.
I think most teams in the NFL, maybe most teams in the NFL, maybe not Miami, are better than Ohio State. The talent that he's going to face,
right?
But pro level.
Yeah, but he's going to have better support too. You know, it's not like just him.
So will the defenses that he will be facing.
Yeah, I know, but like, yeah, it evens out, I think, and he's going against the best defense. It's kind of like playing your first NFL game going against the Texans. So it's.
I just think that you don't. Do you give the Las Vegas Raiders a huge edge over the Miami Dolphins in the first game of the season? What's the line on that game? What are the Raiders favored by? 3?
Let's see. Where are they? The Raiders are minus 3.5, minus 120. So that the line's inching toward 4. I do think the Raiders are substantially better than the Dolphins. Now crossing the 3 kind of sucks, and I'm not excited to lay 4 points or 3.5 points with Kirk Cousins, but Miami is so bad. Like, they have a new coach, new quarterback. Like, it's a disaster, I think, waiting to happen. It wouldn't surprise me at all if this is like 20-3 or something stupid like that. Like that, Miami just having so much.
Well, you also have a first-year head coach with the Raiders. First time he's been a head coach. You've got issues. We still want to see if the offensive line, which I think will be improved, is indeed improved. How much you can tell, and how effective will Kirk Cousins be 1 year older? There's a lot of questions.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that, look, Miami's probably going into this Las Vegas game saying, hey, we can win this game because we're playing a team that's basically on our level, as far as the lack of success. Although, again, look at Miami the last few years. And obviously it's different rosters and everything, but still 9 wins, 11 wins, 8 wins, 7 wins. It's not a pathetic team. Yeah, you look at the roster, but the roster hasn't been all that great the last few years. You can point out guys who, may have stood out, and you'll probably find some guys this year on the roster as well who will stand out at some point. So it's not as though they're playing a team that's been, 3 wins for 4 of the last 5 years or something. Okay, now obviously it's a change at the quarterback, but who knows if it's necessarily a negative change.
I mean, we don't know that, but I mean, the Raiders also have the new coach, new quarterback dynamic too. So it's not a game.
Well, their new quarterback is an old quarterback.
Yeah, but I mean, new on the team.
No, but I'm saying that he's still. Yes, I'm saying that's still a negative.
Yeah.
Both teams have new coaches and new quarterbacks. I don't know what the situation is. Well, of course, we're talking week 1 regular season, which I said we shouldn't talk about right now because we've got, better things to do than Buffalo and Houston. But no, what I'm saying about Miami, because we're talking about a really bad team. They've got to be looking at the Vegas as the one game that they can win to avoid an 0-5 start going into the bye, because there are games after Las Vegas, at the 49ers, home to Kansas City, at Minnesota, home to Chicago, bye, and then at the Jets, which might be their second winnable game of the year. Although the Jets appear to be improved, they still have to go out and prove it. But you go down the rest of the schedule, and as you would think, because we don't know about these other teams, and we're very much down on Miami, maybe the only other game they can win this year are those two games. Maybe that's it as far as looking at possible games. Well, the two games against the Jets and the game at Las Vegas. So maybe three, at least going into the season, is their maximum. But who knows? Everyone thought they were bad last year. They pulled an upset of Buffalo.
Well, Tom is going to tell you that they can beat the Packers late in the season. So, I think that's
not at Green Bay. Not at Green Bay.
I don't know. I think they have a shot there.
If you think they have a shot, then why would you consider under 3.5? You don't think they're going to win? Look, Sports Illustrated does not have a glorious record. They don't call it the Sports Illustrated jinx for nothing.
I know. I have them winning 2 games, and the
Which
Packers.
Two?
The Packers game is one of them. I could tell you in a second. That is. That's what I have. I have all my results. I can tell you the projected score I have for each team too.
3-2.
3-2. Yeah, 3-2. Yeah, 5-3.
And then the Dolphins come back to win 4-3 on a second safety.
Yeah.
Oh no! The first 2 points are on the return of an extra point. The second 2 points are on a safety. I wonder if any teams ever scored 4 points that way.
It's
I don't think 4 has ever been a final score.
We can look at that in a second. 4-4. It could be 4-4 heading into overtime, and then 6-4 is the final at the fifth safety. I have the Dolphins losing to the Raiders 23-16. By the way, losing to the Niners, losing to the Chiefs, losing to the Vikings, losing to the Bengals 52-14. By the way, losing to the Jets, losing to the Patriots, losing to the Lions, losing to the Colts, losing to the Bills, then beating the Jets at home on November 29, losing to the Broncos, losing to the Bears, beating the Packers in Green Bay 34-31, losing to the Chargers, losing to the Bills, and losing to the Patriots. Those are my 2
Why do
wins.
you have them beating the Packers on the road?
Well, first of all, my stance on the Packers. I don't think they're good. Second,
how many teams do you think the Packers will win this year? Roughly.
I'm winning at 5 or 6 games, I think.
Okay, and you don't think Miami would be one of the 5 or 6?
Well, my second thing is that Miami knows Green Bay more than any other team. In fact, maybe more so than Green Bay. They had the former GM. The GM
right.
worked in the front office. The head coach was coaching there. The offensive coordinator was coaching there, and the quarterback was playing there. Like they know Green Bay inside and out, and I think that could be an edge that they have. And if Green Bay does not take that team seriously late in the year, because maybe they have a tougher game coming up, I think they do. I'm not sure. That they could get tripped up there, and Green Bay's not good enough to not focus. If it's like a Rams team that's not focused, they'd still probably beat the Dolphins, maybe not cover the spread. But a Packer team that's not focused, they're not good enough to win without focusing. So
you don't think there'll be a little bit of motivation for Green Bay to say you stole our best personnel people, and we're going to go down and show you that they gave up on us, and we're going to show you the Dolphins that they shouldn't have given up on us? That won't be a little part of the intangibles going into that week?
No, I think that's a big game for Miami. I don't see it that way.
Every game's a big game for Miami when you're 0 whatever you are, or I guess 1-17. Who knows that Miami hasn't given up at that time, and they're going into play in Lambeau Field when it's 16 degrees.
Yeah, I mean, and
Green Bay's used to it. And by the way, as much as I'm also negative on Green Bay, we'll get to them a little later, they could very well be playing for a playoff spot. And they will take the Dolphins seriously. They know how important that game will be.
It may not be a good thing if they take them seriously, if they need to win for a playoff game. Why?
It's only week 15.
Oh, because
nothing will be decided by then.
It's the Aurora Snowmo effect. If a team, I think it was the late Dave Koken who said it. I believe I don't know if he quoted someone else, but I remember he's saying if the team needs to win, chances are they're not good enough to begin with.
Well, in certain situations, it depends. It's like a must. There's a difference between a need to win versus a must win. If a team has a must win, meaning that if they lose, their season is basically over, they're not good enough to get the win. A need win doesn't mean that they're not good enough, because it could be a win that just helps them further their playoff chances because they're in contention with 6 other teams and maybe 2 other teams in a division. I think that's what because I've used that saying also. If it's a must win, you shouldn't be in a must win situation especially at the end of the season, you should be able to wrap things up early. Now in week 15, it's more of a need win. Now if they're 7 and what I say, it'd be 4 games to go. So if they're 7-6 and they have to win out, that's virtually a must win. But what if they're 9-4 and they've got 4 games to go? That's a need win because they haven't clinched the playoff spot. But if they win and get to 10 wins, it's almost certainly a playoff spot for a 9-4 team to go to 10-4.
Yeah.
So
well,
that's. I mean, I understand that again, a need win versus a must. And I've been very particular on that. A must win. There are figurative must win games because the fact is, if you don't win this game, it's unlikely, and you're still alive barely, or you need tiebreaker scenarios. Okay. Well, let's say even if you don't need tiebreaker scenarios, but you've got 1 game left and you have to win one of the last 2. Okay, to clinch a playoff spot. The first of those 2 games is not a must win, but it would certainly be a good thing if we did win because then we could rest everybody next week. But the following week becomes a must win. And if they're in that must win game in week 18, it's because they didn't win the need to win game in week 17, which would have made the week 18 game. It would still have some meaning. You're going to be playing for playoff positioning. But as far as getting into the postseason, you'd already accomplished that by week 18.
The Packers, by the way, the prior game before Miami, they play Buffalo, and the game after Miami, it's a short week, and then they play Chicago. So that's talk about sandwich games. It's gonna be rough for them to get up
even more of a reason to like Chicago because the game before against Buffalo and the game after against Chicago won't be must wins, but will be need to win games.
Yeah, but again, I should downgrade a team if they need to win. I can't count how many times I've seen a team. Oh, they need to win this game, and then they lose. Like it
depends. At what point of the season do you downgrade them? You don't downgrade it in week 4.
No, there's never a must win in week 4.
We're not talking must win. We're talking need win games. That's what you talked about.
Right. Well,
week 4 could look. Every game is a need to win game because it's one game you can't get back that you lose. But if you're talking late season, by the way, it could also be. It's unlikely. It could be let's talk about the Buffalo game and the Chicago game. Green Bay's opponents. Those are probably need to win games for both of those teams because both are expected to be playoff contenders.
Yeah, that's true.
So you're gonna have a need to win versus a need to win. Point is that. I can understand. Can Miami win? But I'm just again at Green Bay. I would say it's extremely unlikely, unless Green Bay is tanking also, which I don't know why they would, and it's a battle of the tanks. It's to me it just seems that if like I said, I could point out 3 games that they could win. Of the 3. Maybe at Las Vegas might. Well, I was going to say the least likely, but not the case. It was just the first game with a new quarterback and new coach for both teams. Yes, it's on the road, but it's also on a team that's expected to win 5.5 games as opposed to Miami 4.5. So you're basically on the same level. Maybe you make a little bit of a difference because 4.5 versus 5.5, but the game is on the road, so maybe you bump up the home teams a little bit. Vegas, but the only other games I can really see are the 2 games against the Jets. We don't know about Indianapolis, but I would still say that, obviously Indianapolis will be favored in that one, all things being equal. So, like I say, I am undecided on Miami. We're spending way too long on this. So I will just conclude by saying next week I will have an opinion on Miami one way or the other, but it's going to be a weak opinion since I'm committed to have a recommendation or an opinion either way on that game. So right now I'm going to pass on I'm going to leave that blank. You're going under what? You're going under 4.5, 3.5?
I'm not betting it. I just I would go under if I had to. It's just I don't know. I think the under 2.5 is worth a shot. It's a very small play, like plus 310, but I'm not going to bet it. If I had to bet anything here, it would be that. I like how we said we were going to cover week 1 games. We're talking about week 14 games already.
Yeah. All right. We're all over the place. Well, see, now that I've said a lot of things, I'm going to be able to get a lot of things done quickly because I don't have to repeat myself.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We do had a question here. Traded my first, second, and third last year. Have Josh Allen, Brees Hall, AJ Brown, Rashee Rice, Kenneth Walker, Bucky Irving, George Kittle as my keepers. Wonder if I should keep Tony Pollard or George Kittle. Man, that's a tough one because Pollard is not very good. He doesn't have much time left in the NFL, and Kittle, in fairness, doesn't have much time either. But it
Injury
feels like
concern.
right, but I mean, this is keeper for the long term. Like Kittle in 2027 could be really good, but again, he's in his mid 30s. I think I'd rather keep Kittle. Like Pollard's not good. Like Pollard may lose his job to Nick Singleton or someone like that. So he's not going to be a starter for too much longer. Kittle could be a really good player for 2 or 3 more years. So I keep Kittle. All right.
The only thing with Kittle is considering the depth of talent that the 49ers have. Will he lose some targets as a result of the receivers around him?
Well, the receivers are dropping like flies, so maybe not. They have
Who
so
have they
many.
lost now? Who have they lost now?
Mike Evans not practicing, Dejon Stribling not practicing, Christian Kirk not practicing.
Well, that
Kittle
doesn't mean
himself
that means they need some time off. What do they say?
but-
Hamstring injuries?
Yeah, but Evans always has hamstring injuries.
Oh.
Kirk is always injured. Like it's a thing, and of course they have that electrical substation, which I don't know
Yeah.
how much you believe in that, but it can't help, right?
No,
so-
you know what I believe more in? The conditioning coach, strength
Yeah.
and conditioning coach. I believe more in that.
I heard rumors that they don't
Uh,
stretch. They don't stretch on that team. Like
Well,
that.
maybe that's part of it.
Someone
Maybe
told me
I'd say
that.
that's a
Yeah.
good part of it. If
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I hurt my shoulder once. Like the only time I always stretch before I swim. The one time I didn't because someone wanted me to demonstrate butterfly. I hurt
Yeah.
my shoulder. It hurt for like nine months. It was awful. So yeah, you gotta stretch.
Again, it's because you're going from like not stretching to all of a sudden going and playing at 100% maximum ability.
Yeah,
And if your body is, is not limber and all, been, loosened up a little bit, it's a lot easier to just make one bad move when the body isn't ready for it.
yeah, that's
So,
yeah, it's definitely true.
I think, with that makes it a lot more understandable. The conspiracy about the uranium field around the practice facility or whatever it is.
Yeah,
I don't know how much that has to do with it. I'm not saying that it doesn't, but let's have some scientific proof beyond, gee, there are a lot of injuries here, when there could be other causes which make a little bit more sense and perhaps can be proven a little bit more, such as conditioning. Why does everybody on this team, continue to have hamstring issues week after week, year after year?
it's if they don't stretch, then that's certainly a thing. But it's not like
if I were 49, I would bring in a strength and conditioning consultant, who, probably visits, maybe 30 to 40 college facilities and programs during the off season, and maybe consults a couple of the NFL facilities that teams, organizations, let's say, about their conditioning routines and what improvements they could see, what they should eliminate, what they might consider doing. Shorten this amount of time on these types of conditioning and lengthen the time on these others. That is a worthwhile investment to get that sort of unbiased evaluation.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. They need to do that. It's kind of ridiculous that they haven't. Kyle, thank you so much. Like and subscribe. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Okay, let's continue on in the AFC East here with the Patriots at 10.5. Their 10.5 is plus 115. Their under 10.5 is minus 140. And I would assume that if they had whole numbers, it would be a 10. But I think 10 and a half makes a little more sense than 9.5. So for me, I do think they're going to have some regression here. They're 14-3 last year. They had such an easy schedule. I don't think their schedule is that difficult this year, but it's certainly not as easy as it was last year. On the other token, they have AJ Brown, Romeo Doubs to really improve the offense. The offensive line got some upgrades. Will Campbell will be healthy. We've talked about the Diana Rossini stuff. You don't think it's going to be a factor. I don't either, but it's not like it helps or anything. So if I had to bet one side,
if it's not a factor, it neither hurts nor helps.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be a factor, but I think they're like 95% chance it's not a factor, but like the 5% chance like that it is, maybe Vrabel's distracted and not game planning well enough. I don't know.
No.
I probably not, but like it could be. It's within the realm of possibility. But anyway,
I would give it less of a chance of being a factor than I would for an injury to any specific player.
Okay. Well, with that in mind, who do you like? What do you like here? Over under?
What's the over under at 9.5?
9.5 over -150. Under 9.5 is +125.
Plus 125.
Mm-hmm.
It would be a weak opinion on the under.
Okay.
I could see it going 9 and 8.
I could
see that regressing that much because now everybody who may not have taken them all that seriously, especially in the first half of the season, this is the game where teams can measure up and say, hey, this week you're playing the defending conference champions. Let's show that we can be on a competitive basis with them. I think a little bit more.
They'll definitely command more attention than they did last year. That's true. I predicted them at 10-7, so I'm right in the middle. So over 9.5, under 10.5. This is a non-play for me. If I had to choose a side, I would go over 9.5. But just because I love the coach, love the quarterback, love the additions that they made, but they're right there. So I really don't see an edge here. So
I will say, even though I look under, because I think it's a weak opinion, but I like the value at plus 125. Unders are always. I've always had a preference, even though I don't play them necessarily equally overs and unders, but I've normally had a preference for unders because injuries can only hurt a team. They can't help a team, because if your first string player is being injured, well, that means you're relying on somebody who's not as good. If your backup is injured, well, now you're going to be relying on someone as your backup who's not as good as the backup who got injured. So, we never know about it. We never know about injuries other than we can expect them to occur. We don't know at what position. We don't know the severity and how long they'll be out. And we don't know exactly how good the replacement is right now. So this would be a weak opinion for me because it's easy to make a case for New England to be a winning team. Now, and of course, Vrabel has a lot to do with a first-year coach and effectively a first-year quarterback in Drake May because he played half the season the year before?
Yeah, So
it's really his first full time where they went into the season with him as the known starter. Now there's the old theory in a lot of sports. We see it in baseball a lot when a team makes an unusual advancement, like New England did after four win seasons, and they jump up by as much as they did by 10 games to 14 wins. There's usually a regression, but they could regress to an 11-win season. Oh, they're 3 games worse. Still better than 9.5 and 10.5.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm thinking personally.
I'm just thinking that there are a lot of at Seattle to open the season. That could be could be. I'm not saying will be. Could be a loss at Seattle. Then Pittsburgh they host. At Jacksonville could be a loss. At Buffalo could be a loss. At Chicago could be a loss. At Detroit, the neutral site, that could be a loss. At the Chargers could be a loss. Home to Buffalo could be a loss. Home to Minnesota could be a loss. We don't know. At Kansas City could be a loss. At home to Denver could be a loss. Now, obviously, I would think they're not going to lose all of those games or maybe even half of those games. But they don't have to lose that many of those games to fall to, let's say, 9 and 8.
Yeah.
I don't think they will, but at plus 125, I mean, what happens if Drake May gets injured and misses 3 games? And let's say there are 3 games against teams that they would normally be favored to beat.
Right. As you said, that's the risk you run when you bet the over is the injuries. So I'm always like you. I always like to lean toward the unders unless the number is just glaring at you, kind of like the Buffalo one is for me. So.
Well, let me put it another way. We play a 17-game schedule now. We used to play 16 games. Yeah. And the number of teams, even under the 16-game schedule, that won 11 or more games or even 12 or more games is usually a lot higher than the number of teams with that win total. The 2 highest win total this year are 11.5 with the Ravens and the Rams, meaning to barely cover their overs, they have to just go 12-5. And yet we'll probably see a good 3 to 5 teams that win at least 12 games. And it may not necessarily be the Ravens and or the Rams, but it could be teams with totals of 9.5 or even 10.5. That could end up exceeding 11 wins. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I'm very judicious with playing over some of these high games. But like a team like Buffalo, you know, well, we'll get to some other teams where, well, I'll mention right now the 49ers. They played with all those injuries last year and they managed to win 12 games.
Yeah.
And then that was Shanahan's one of his best jobs. They've now won 10 or more games, I believe, in 4 of the last 5 seasons. Yeah, and the one season they didn't was the 2024 season when they had not quite as much, but they still had a lot of injuries like they did last year.
It is funny that we don't see anything over 11.5, whereas it's kind of like you were saying that there were 3 teams last year that won 14 games, and then there were 8 teams that won 12 plus games.
Yeah.
So it's like, we don't have any that are at 12.5 or over, but we
saw that's why it's hard to play under some of the some of these 3.5s and 4.5s because let's say to go over the highest total, okay, you only have to go 12-5. To go under the lowest total, you have to go 4-13, which is a little bit of a different the other way. Now it could very well be that maybe a team that has to cash the under at 4-13 isn't good enough, and maybe they lose games that they're not really trying at the end of the year for whatever reason, and maybe your tanking reason could be I don't know. Again, I don't want to say that it's a reason because players play to win. They don't care. Now if a team goes out there and starts like their third teamers in week 18, that's tanking. Because players aren't good enough to win, even if they're trying their best. But usually, the other reason why I think teams wouldn't do something like that, and it makes sense, because if they didn't, as a player, I'd be very pissed. If we have no chance at the playoffs and we're, the management wants to tank, okay, you're not going to play me, and I'm not going to get that $500,000 bonus if I gain 42 yards. Guarantee me the bonus, and I'll be happy to sit.
Right. Yeah. No, it's true.
Pay me the bonus, and I won't play in week 18.
Yeah, last year we saw.
And then it's not because we're going to the playoffs next week. It's because our season is over.
Yeah. Last season we had 5 teams with 4 or fewer wins, and 4 of those teams had 3 wins. So just goes to show that you can bet the under 4.5s like really easily if you think that these teams are going to be terrible. It's kind of like Miami. It's kind of, so maybe I'm making a case for Miami here, but it's just I'd rather get like the plus 150 or more, like plus 200.
Yeah, same thing with me on New England.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned the Patriots' potential losses. What about the Jets? They are 5.5 right now. They're over 5.5 is minus 120. They're under 5.5 is plus 100. I've talked about how I don't think the Jets are as bad as people think they are. Like when people talk about the worst teams in the league, it seems like they always list the Dolphins, Cardinals, and Jets, and I don't think the Jets.
No, Cardinals, Jets, and Cardinals.
Jets and Dolphins.
Cardinals, Dolphins, and I'd say the Browns.
Yeah, I would too, but like usually when you see people list it, it's like whenever I see power rankings, I see people have like the Jets at number 30, and I'm like, that's not right to me because they added some really good defensive pieces. Minkah Fitzpatrick primarily, also Demario Davis is great.
But remember, they also lost 2 key defensive players at the trade deadline last year.
Yeah, but I mean,
who were just having bad seasons, but the entire defense was having a bad season. The next time in a regular season game that the Jets defense intercepts a pass will be the first intercepted pass since the 2024 season.
It's crazy, yeah. But they added some really good defensive players.
Yeah,
and I liked what they have on offense. They have 2 really talented tackles and a great guard, Joe Tippmann. Yeah. They have some good weapons now with Garrett Wilson.
What does Gino have left?
Well, I'll get to that in a second, but they have Garrett Wilson, who's really talented. They added 2 first-round offensive talents, and then Breece Hall.
By the way, we're only going to get through the AFC.
I know. I told you.
But that's okay. We love talking, and maybe we go a little bit over 2 hours. Who knows?
Well, yeah. Okay. So anyway, I love the weapons. I like the defensive improvements. Yeah, Geno Smith, right? That's the one big question mark. I don't. You know what? My take on Geno Smith. I don't think he's good, but he's not I wouldn't say he's like the worst quarterback in the NFL.
Where would you put him in the NFL? Maybe between 14 and 20?
No, not now. Well, maybe a few years ago, yeah, not now.
You
I think
put him
he's in.
below 20?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Where would you put him now? Again, forget about potential. Talking about this year, where would you put him to like a guy like C.J. Stroud?
Well, I think there's a chance CJ Stroud rebounds, but then again,
No.
I mean,
Forget about you. Forget about you. Think about the going into the season based upon what we can expect of them, not what we think could happen.
Yeah,
Any
yeah,
of these guys could have great years, but I mean, based upon what we've seen, especially with his regression, who would you rather have for the long term? Oh, C.J. Stroud, absolutely, no question. So that's because Geno's at the end of his career and Stroud's virtually at the beginning of his career. But as far as now, of course, and obviously they play for different teams. But I mean, I would still say Geno Smith is a capable starting quarterback. Is he going to lead you to the Super Bowl? No. Is he going to lead you to the playoffs? Quite unlikely. Is he going to lead you to a 500 season? Possibly.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree with that. Yeah. I take him over some of the young guys who aren't that good, like Cam Ward, for example. I'd rather have Geno Smith.
J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. Viking fans, by the way, were yelling at me because I said McCarthy stinks, and like, well, he's losing the competition to Kyler Murray. But yeah. No, Geno. I mean, look, he's not top 10 like some analysts believe, but he's. I think he's in the mid-20s. He's not the worst quarterback, but he's not good either.
No.
I was watching some of the games last year.
By the way, the reason why I say this about Geno, again, I'm not talking about like C.J. Stroud and all that as far as what their potential is. You just mentioned some of the weapons around him this year are better than the weapons that the Jets had last year, and there's more balance between rushing and passing.
Right.
Which means that there's a better opportunity for the quarterback to succeed.
Yeah, I mean, I've been watching some of the games from my book, and I watched the Bears game. I think it was week 4, and like he made like some stupid mistakes where he just couldn't see the field, and he wasn't even pressured on those plays. Like against the Bears, he barely saw any pressure. It was just making like the same mistake over and over again. I'm like what are you doing here?
Well, how much of that is coaching again?
Right. Yeah. That coaching was
Carroll, who was checking into his 401k account, on the sidelines.
Right. And Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly Chip Kelly was a complete disaster too.
Yeah. No, but what I'm saying is when you look at these games, and and it's a tendency for everyone who analyzes whatever the position is to look at the negative plays. Oh, he did this wrong. Oh, he did that wrong. Are those tabulations counterbalanced by the number of, let's call them, above average plays that a player makes? So that you could say, yeah, he stunk on 16 of these plays, but over the course of the season, he did better than expected on 23 of those plays, 23 plays.
Yeah.
So it's easy to focus and concentrate on the negative without considering on an equal basis. Now, of course, a lot of that's judgmental, but like, for example, if you throw a pass,
And I couldn't hear anything you were saying in that last sentence. Man. Andy, you're breaking up really bad. I can't hear you at all.
How about now?
Okay, try again.
Okay, how about now? Because I'm getting the circle. I'm getting the flashing circles on my screen. How do I correct that?
It's a little bit better now.
Here.
A little bit better.
Trouble. This is often caused by unstable internet connection.
Yeah.
My internet connection. You know what? Let me leave and come back in.
I think you're fine now. I think you're fine. Try again. Or not. Okay. So much for that. Okay. So, yeah, well, for my take with which I guess I'll repeat, but, okay, here we go. And he's coming in.
There we go. How's that? Okay.
Yeah, it's okay. So yeah, what were we so, there's the circle again. I'll read this comment. Dom says the Bills never beat Houston. Josh Allen has never won there and always gets beat up. In fact, it was the only team that caused him injuries that led him to miss games. The only time he's missed the game. Yeah, he does not have a good history there. It's a house of horrors for him. And He took 8 sacks in the game last year, and like the Bills don't even have a bad offensive line. Like it's not like amazing, but they have really good blockers in some areas, and they just could not pass protect against that Houston defense. And like, granted, Houston's defense is awesome. Obviously, their pass rush is great, and they had a Jadeveon Clowney on top of that. Like he's going to be providing some nice depth for them, and so Josh Allen is just it's just going to be more of a beating. The Bills lost an offensive lineman this offseason as well. That's definitely going to hurt. I can't remember exactly who that lineman is. Let me look up for 1 second. It was David Edwards, right? They lost David Edwards, which it's not going to help against a team that sacked Allen 8 times. So I was looking at Houston as a potential play. The one concern I have with Houston's is I think everyone has the same concern as C.J. Stroud, who just has regressed a lot the past couple of seasons. I don't. I still think that the Bills are just going to have trouble scoring, and I think the big edge here for Houston's offense is going to be the running game. Like, they didn't have much of a running game last year, and they still beat the Bills. The Bills are 31st in run defense last year, and they haven't really done anything to fix that. And so, Andy's back. So I was talking about the Bills-Texans game real fast. I think Dave Montgomery is going to be a nice addition for the Texans to play against that Buffalo 31st ranked defense. Okay, so you're back. What were you saying about the Jets?
Oh, is last year's roster back? The 31st ranked defense?
They haven't done anything to fix that. So I assume. They haven't added anyone. So I assume that it's gonna be the same. But
No, I was saying before we were talking about the quarterback throws a pass to an open receiver and he drops it. That statistically that goes against the quarterback, but realistically it should go against the receiver. Drop target, miss target, whatever. So what I'm saying is that there's a natural tendency, because it's human nature to be critical for whatever reason. Okay, but if you're going to be critical, you also have to have the ability to praise. So when a guy screws up, mark it up as a screw up. He shouldn't have done that. But when the guy does something that perhaps exceeds what you might have expected, like, for example, Caleb Williams on that pass in the overtime, or that forced overtime in that Green Bay playoff game where, he ran around for like 2 minutes and then heaved the pass like 70 yards into the wide open receiver in the end zone.
Yeah.
Give them credit. So you may find out that at the end of the year and again, as I was starting to say, that's subjective to a certain extent, but as long as you apply the subjectivity relatively evenly, you may find a player who had 16 screw-ups and 23. Hey, he did better than we thought he would as that play unfolded. That has to count as well. So you could say that when you look at like Geno Smith's effort in that game against Chicago, he may have also, and I don't know the answer, but I'm saying that has to be counterbalanced by some of the plays he made that, he really pulled one out of his for that play.
Yeah.
So.
That's certainly true. User asking who's a better matchup for DFS, Sun God or Gibbs. Amon-Ra St. Brown does. The Saints lost Amari Davis, so it's going to be tough for them to defend the middle of the field, I think. And their run defense was pretty decent last year. Although Davis being gone is going to hurt that. But look, you can't go wrong playing Gibbs. But I think matchup wise, I think St. Brown has the better matchup. Okay, so with the Jets, I have them projected as 6-11. So it would be over for me if I had to make the play. Luckily, I don't have to make the play because I'm right on the Cups. I was really hoping for 4.5, given how bad the public sentiment is for them. But we don't have that luxury, unfortunately. So I will be passing on this one. What are you playing here?
Well, for the moment, it's almost. Hold on, just a second here. Let me take care of that here. Bear with me a moment. Okay. It's kind of like my situation with Miami. I don't know which way I'm going to be leaning, but it will be a weak opinion as far as whether it's an over or an under, meaning I may not play it, or if I do, it would be for a very small amount. But with 32 teams out there, I probably won't be playing the weak opinions. But nonetheless, and I think we both agreed on this, and I think we talked about several teams. I think Tennessee was another one, and the Raiders were another one, where they may be a much improved team this year, but it may not be reflected in the win-loss record. And I think the Jets are one of those teams. But because it may not be reflected in the win in the record, there may still be a reason why I may end up going under the 5.5, but I'm not sure.
Okay. All right. Well, let's we can jump to the AFC North now, and alphabetically, the first one is Baltimore. You mentioned that they are one of two teams that has 11.5 as the win total. So 11.5 plus 115, under 11.5 is minus 140. What do you make of the Ravens this season?
Considering there's an entire change of you're showing 11.5, right? What'd you say the under is?
The under 11.5 is minus 140.
Okay, this one is going to be an under for me. And I'm debating if it's a weak opinion or a strong opinion, because minus 135, my limit generally for considering anything of a decent play would be minus 140. I don't like to go above that. I prefer to stay minus 120 or less, but Baltimore can still have a successful season at 11-6 and still go under that, or again, there I did it again, or stay under that total. So I haven't decided yet exactly if it's going to be a weak opinion or a strong opinion.
Okay.
It will be an under. You basically have Derrick Henry. Now they just signed who was it? Flowers to a nice contract today, I think, and of course you still have Lamar Jackson. Defense should be improved. We talked about the center going over to the Raiders. That's going to be a period of adjustment. But you wonder how the change in the culture, Harbaugh's been a really good coach. He won a Super Bowl with them. Unfortunately, that was the only appearance in the Super Bowl, as I recall, in his 18 years. But he got him in the playoffs more often than not. And he had a winning record, in most of his seasons. I don't remember what his worst season was. Maybe it was 6 or 7 wins, but if there were, it wasn't very many of them. There weren't very many of them. But you're going for a first-time head coach. Now, to be fair, Minter was on the defensive staff years ago under Harbaugh, but he's been away for a number of years and doing a very fine job with the Chargers. But I could see this team. Here's a team. What was their record last year? 9-8.
No, they were 8-9.
Or 8-9, and now they're being expected. It's one thing for them to be expected to improve, by 4 wins exactly. I mean, because if they were 8, they got to win 12. At 11.5. You go back over the previous few seasons when they were 12-5 and 24. They were 13-4 and 23, and they were 10-7 in 22. So it's not as though they can't win, but Derrick Henry, is a couple of seasons removed from that last good season at 24. Lamar Jackson's a little bit older, but I think he's still in his prime. So, I'm not going to say all that much. But also the thing with Baltimore, and let me get the numbers out here, is that their defense has really declined using a lot of basic, and I don't know what your advanced metrics show, but if you go by yards per game, if you go by yards per rush, significant declines from that 12-5 season in 2024 to the 8-9 in 2025. And, it's an aging defense in many areas. The rush defense was still pretty good last year on a yards per basis, but the yards per play, they still allowed 4.6 after giving up 3.6 the year before. So there was some decline there. And that's the concern, is that maybe with the new system, the new coaches, etc., that, hey, if they go 11-6, I'm a winner with the under. They're in the playoffs, possibly as a division winner.
Yeah, their defense in the second half of the season was 9th in EPA. It really struggled in the first half of the year when they were missing their entire roster for 3 or 4 games. And I think that could have played into their stats. But second half of the season, they were much better defensively. I have them at 11-6, so I'm right on the cusp here. And just looking at the odds, it looks like 11 is the true number. So I'm right on the number. So I don't have a play here here. Center is a concern. They did sign Ethan Posick since we last talked about them, and he's a veteran. He's not that good, but he's a veteran who's started a lot of games, and so he could provide some stability. Like, it's still a huge downgrade, but at least he's a guy who has experience, which is what they had. They didn't have that before.
The thing you have to worry about with that, as you do with Linderbaum and the Raiders, they're getting an All-Pro center.
Yep.
But early in the season, you have to worry about holding calls, or not holding calls, illegal procedure calls, illegal motion calls. Yep. False starts. Let's call it that, false starts, because of the timing of the release of the player and the timing of the beginning of the snap to the quarterback.
Yeah, that's certainly true. Yeah, I mean, a lot of adjustments are needed, but I'm still a believer in this team. I think the total is too high, so I'm not going to get there. Cincinnati, I suspect that.
By the way, I think that they are a playoff team, Baltimore.
Okay. All right, Cincinnati, their total is 10.5 plus 115, or 9.5 is minus 160, but maybe you could find a more favorable number. I guess this has been bet up. I mean, we both agreed about a month ago that we both love Cincinnati. Has anything changed for you? Do you still like them a lot? Okay.
No, I still like them a lot. I have that down as my highest level of a recommendation. What are you showing as the over 10.5 at?
Plus 115.
Okay. Yeah, I've got them. Well, the one that I used before, I used Circa here to be consistent. I do change it when I put my report for subscribers together. I change it to the price as of the date that I make the recommendation. So I haven't done it lately, but the number that I was using in my tentative one when I started my first run through a week or so ago was plus 100. But that's still a recommendation. I think Cincinnati. And again, you never know about injuries, and you have to worry with Burrows because it's been a concern with Burrow. But certainly this team is capable of going 12-5.
Yeah. I have them at 13-4, so even better than that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to play the alt overs, 11.5, 12.5 if I can find them. Okay. Next team is Cleveland Browns. Their total is 5.5. The over 5.5 is minus 130. The under 5.5 is plus 110. So how are you feeling about Cleveland here?
I haven't decided how strong it's going to be. It could be a recommendation. It could be a strong opinion. I think right now I have it as a strong opinion. And what'd you say the under was what price? Under 5.5?
Under 5.5 is plus 110.
Yeah. At plus 110. Oh, by the way, another reason why I'm a little bit down on Baltimore, where's last year's offensive coordinator?
He is with the Browns.
That's right. And I wonder how much he's going to be missed in Baltimore, especially with a new head coach who comes with a defensive bent.
Maybe, I don't know. Well, maybe it'll be a spark because he didn't do very smart things at the end of the year, just holding back Derrick Henry for no reason. It cost him a win against the Patriots.
Yeah. So I'm looking again at Cleveland's schedule, which again is tough. Start at at Jacksonville, at Tampa Bay, home to Carolina, home to Pittsburgh, at the Jets. That's, I think, their first winnable game. Home to Baltimore, at Tennessee. I would say it's a toss-up, but I think that they're going to be the underdog there, and we don't know how Tennessee. I think Tennessee will be one of those improved teams. So I don't know that I could say that it would be a win that I would put in the column there as far as likely. At Pittsburgh, at New Orleans, home to Houston, home to Vegas, a possible winning game. Home to Cincinnati, home to Atlanta, a possible winning game there, especially with the coaching situation, although it is Stefanski coming into Cleveland. At the Giants, at Baltimore, home to Indianapolis, and at Cincinnati. It's hard for me to make a case for 6 wins for this team.
Yeah,
so
me too.
At the plus 115, if I can find that here in Vegas, because even though it's available at different places, I generally use the Vegas prices at Circa. At plus 115, it would be a recommendation. At even money or slightly under, it would be a strong opinion.
Okay, I agree. I've been 3-14 So I like the under. I'm going to be betting the under 4.5. On DraftKings listed at plus 180. Hopefully, you can find something better, or use a boost to get it better. But yeah, anything plus 200 or more, I'm willing to go on the Browns.
On what on the under?
Under 4.5. Yeah.
Under 4.5, the adjusted one. Okay, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I think that although you said Pittsburgh and then the first winnable games to Jazz, I think they could beat Pittsburgh, and that kind of leads us into the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are their total is 8.5, plus 110 over, minus 130 under. Yeah. I mean, you know my stance on the Steelers. I think we'll see if we disagree. How do you feel about the Steelers 8.5?
8.5. Oh, I'm showing 7.5. What's the over under? Yeah. What's the over under 8.5? That's got to be huge on the over.
Well, it's not too bad. 8.5 over is plus 110. 8.5 under is minus 130.
What's the over under on 7.5?
Over is minus 160. Under is plus 134. So it looks like an 8 or 8.25 maybe.
Yeah. You know, we all know about Tomlin's record of 17, 18, whatever the number of years was of success, not having a losing season.
Yeah.
Which these days means going either 9-8 or 8-1. I know you don't like McCarthy. He's still an NFL coach who's had success with 2 franchises. How do you define success? Well, at least making the playoffs where you got a chance to win. And he's been able to do that in most of his seasons with Pittsburgh and Dallas, and usually having the same result, other than very early in his career when he inherited some good teams at Dallas and Green Bay, when he inherited some good teams at Green Bay. I think when we did our exercise, you had him at 4.5 and I had him at 8.
Yeah.
I think. Yep. But the more I looked at it, I'm giving more respect to the McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers situation. They've got some decent running backs. I think they got your favorite running back, didn't they, from Carolina?
Oh, Rico Doodle. Yeah. Yes.
He's worth a win just for the announcer getting to say the name.
Look, in fairness, he played under McCarthy in Dallas and had a good season. Yeah.
Which is probably one of the reasons why he brought him in. So, given the situation with the other teams in this division, because I could see Pittsburgh winning at Cleveland early in the season. Remember, there's a different Pittsburgh team now without Tomlin, but they still have a decent nucleus, and they do have it is a historic rivalry, but you do have a coach who's been a head coach in McCarthy, who knows about rivalry games with the teams that he's been with over the years, especially when he was with Green Bay. I'd be interested to go back, although it's ancient history, to see how he's done, like in division games against Minnesota, Detroit, and Chicago. But I could see this team going 8-9, which would be a losing record. But it's only a weak opinion, and it's a weak opinion because of the minus 160 on the over.
Okay.
If it were minus 120, I would make it a play, because I think it's a very manageable schedule when I look at how it unfolds. Home to Atlanta. I'll give them a loss at New England, and they could beat Cincinnati. I won't expect it. I think they could beat Cleveland. I think it'll beat Indianapolis at home. Neutral game against New Orleans is a winnable. The rematch at home, which is right before the bye against Cleveland, is winnable. It gets tough later in the season, so they got to build up wins earlier, because their toughest game, the only winnable game I would count as a win, and it might not be, would be at Tennessee in week 17. So, that's another reason why I'm a little bit reluctant, because I do expect Pittsburgh to get off to a good start, because their most favorable part of the schedule is the games, the favorable part, singular, is before the open date. Here's who they play after the bye week. At Cincinnati, at Philadelphia, home to Denver, home to Houston, at Jacksonville, home to Baltimore, home to Carolina, at Tennessee, at Baltimore. It could conceivably be they could win only one of those games.
Yeah, that's brutal.
But then again, if they get off to that early start, and depending who they win in that early start, they might be a better team than we expect. Then you expect them to be. I expect them to be like an 8 or a 9 win team, but nothing higher than that. I'd say most likely 8. But again, for purposes of making a selection, which I'm committed to do, I can make it a weak opinion, which I'm not committed to play.
Well, I mean, we still differ here a lot. I have him at 5-12, so I will be betting the under aggressively. The under, not necessarily 8.5, but
oh, sorry. By the way, what did you say you were going to do with Cincinnati?
Oh, I love the. I already bet. Did I already bet? I don't think I bet it yet. I will be betting the over. It looks like the number has gone up though, unfortunately.
And but, Cleveland, you're under on Cleveland, right?
Yes, I am under Cleveland. Yeah.
And Pittsburgh, you're definitely under.
I am definitely under. I'm going to play under 7.5. I'm going to play under 6.5. If there's a 5.5 out there, I'd play under 5.5. But I don't think.
What's the plus price on the under 6.5?
A plus 235.
It's interesting. I say I'm committing myself to the over, but if you're that sold on the under, and that second half of the season schedule suggests that they may have difficulty getting a win after the bye, is plus 235 a reasonable price, or is that too low?
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping for something better, so maybe something will come up. Maybe another sportsbook will have like a 260, 270.
Well, maybe I was thinking more like plus. I was going to say like plus 280 or higher.
Yeah, maybe you can boost it or something. Yeah, I'll be looking for that. That's why I haven't bet a lot of these yet. I was just waiting. Yeah. So, yeah.
I've not done anything. Well, like I say, I've not done anything with Pittsburgh, and I'm likely not to do anything with Pittsburgh because it is a weak opinion, largely because of the over, and I can understand the public enthusiasm for the under, and that's reflected on the 7.5. Now, what I'm curious about, and maybe it's been reflected in the over betting. Oh, well, Pittsburgh hasn't had a losing season since 1938 or whatever, the number is, 2005, 2006, right. Whatever it was. Without regard to the Tomlin's uncanny ability to get probably more than the most out of these players. I mean, he's had some good teams, but you could argue that these teams were not good enough to be contenders they're not good enough to win their division, yet they've been in contention almost every year. Yeah. And we're not talking by going, a game or two over 500. We're talking about going 10-6, 10-7, 11-5, 11-6, things like that. So I can understand the enthusiasm. I don't have it in front of me. If I can find out what they opened at, I believe it was certainly at 7.5. It was probably close to the over 160. So that was already built into the number.
Yeah.
Okay. But I happen to be, I like to be a contrarian. And by that, I say, I'm not betting on the public. Public isn't always wrong, okay? But I'm not betting under it for the reason that the public is. I'm betting on the fact that you've got an experienced head coach, an experienced quarterback who worked well together for a number of years, and I think Pittsburgh's roster, especially on offense, has improved over last year.
On offense, Pittman's a nice addition, but they also lost So Malo at guard, so their offensive line will be weaker. And Rodgers,
it may be weaker. We don't know. We don't know that it'll be weaker. Let's see how things look in training camp.
I think that. Well, yeah.
See, there's a tendency, and a lot of people do it, and I know you do it at times. Well, they lost this player. That doesn't mean that the player who's coming in to replace him is going to be worse than the player he's replacing. It's easy to assume he's not, because there's going to be a time for which it takes assimilation to get in there. But there are backs given the opportunity are good enough. So yes, I understand how people can make the assumption, for lack of a better word, because that's exactly what it is. Oh, well, they're going to be weaker because they lost this player. Yes, if you lose a Brett Favre, you're going to be weaker. Oh, wait a minute. No, Aaron Rodgers is coming in. But if you lose a Tom Brady, yeah, you're going to be weaker because whoever the backup comes in. But in many positions, especially along the offensive line, because offensive line play, I think, is more a case of technique, and that's coaching, getting leverage, anticipating, which way the defense is going to try to get by you. So I think that there are so many parts where the talent on a lot of these players is really good, but I think there are fewer good coaches than there are good players.
The elephant in the room is Aaron Rodgers is going to be 43 during the season. That's that could be a huge regression, like going from 42 to 43. When you get up there in age,
Yeah.
like it
Yeah,
falls
they
off
were
quickly.
saying
And
that
look
at 41 to 42 and 40 to
yeah,
41. They say for every quarterback.
yeah, but there is a decline eventually. Peyton Manning at 37 was an All Pro. Peyton Manning at 38 was subpar. Tom Brady in his final year in Tampa was not good. He was barely covering the spread.
Yeah, but you don't know when that final year and that bad year is coming.
Yeah.
People would have thought that with Rodgers. Hey, his final year was when he lasted 4 plays.
Yeah, well,
And he came back and had a decent season the following year. Not a great season, but a decent competitive season with a better team. But yes, is it possible? Let's put it this way: it's more likely that you could say it's. I won't say it's more likely. It's reasonable to project that he will have a worse season this year than he had last year, simply because of the aging process. But that doesn't mean it's going to happen.
Yeah, right. I'm not saying it's 100%, but the odds keep going up much higher each year, and I'd rather be a year early than a year late, personally.
Yeah, but you don't know. Yeah, see, with that, I would not necessarily have that strong of a play on Pittsburgh because we don't know if this is the year. And what do you think? Let me ask you this, and maybe you don't think much of him. What do you think of the backup?
Which one is it, Rudolph or Aller? I don't. Rudolph's he's okay. I mean, if the team is around him is good, then he can win a couple games. But he's not that good of a backup. It might be Drew Aller anyway, and his girlfriend had a nice video she put out on social media, but I don't know. He's someone who has a really good arm, but he is nothing up here.
Which makes me think that if the Steelers somehow are in playoff contention and they need to back up Rodgers, it won't be Aller. Now, if they're out of playoff contention, yes, and that schedule over the second half of the season may very well have him out of contention.
It could, I think if Rodgers struggles early, like week 3, week 4, like they see that he is totally decrepit, then I think it'll be Rudolph. But if it's week 13, week 14, they're out of it, then they just might see what they have in Aller. So that's what
they
I think
drafted him for a reason. What round did they draft him in?
Third.
Yeah, that was a little bit optimistic. Maybe they. Maybe does he have a big family?
I don't.
The Steelers were looking to sell like an extra. Not that they have an issue with it. An extra, 13 season tickets they wanted to get rid of. So they.
Well, look, I mean, he went to Penn State, so that
That's what I mean.
That's the biggest alumni association in the world. So
well, that's what I meant. It's a good fan base to sell tickets. Although the Steelers could be 3-13 going into the last week. They'll sell out the stadium.
Oh yeah. They're great fans. We had a super chat from. Yeah, they had a super chat for Harambe Slayer. Thank you so much, Harambe. The 4th consecutive show for $4.99. Thank you. Really appreciate it. He said, I'm so pumped. NFL is close. Question. If I remember correctly, buying a half a point on, say, +3 to 3.5 is worth about 27 cents. Yeah. Is that applicable for buying a half point at 7? No. It is far different. I can't do the math right now. It'll take me a few minutes to do that.
The most important point for buying numbers on or off is 3. Has been
3, yes. In order, it's 3, then 7, then 6, and then believe it or not, then 14. But you definitely don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. So 3 is worth 27 cents. I can tell you in a couple of days or so, next time, maybe by tomorrow, if I remember what 7 is worth and what 6 is worth. But it's not even close to 27 cents. It's probably like 13 cents. I would say maybe 12 cents. If I had to guess, I could be off. I'll do the math and I'll come back to you on that. But yeah, don't pay that much for 7 or 6. And so Papa Smurf said, nice pick on Jarren Duran, home run Sunday night. How do you decide to make that your play? How do you go about picking home run plays? Yeah, we had a nice one with that. And then how do I do that? So I look at first of all, I want to go against a bad pitcher, a pitcher who is not a ground ball pitcher, a pitcher who allows a lot of home runs. And so the Red Sox are playing against a pitcher who allowed a lot of home runs. And then what I do is I'll go to that team and I'll look at a player who typically hits home runs, but who hasn't done it in a while. Like, and I'll credit Tom for this. Tom put me on this. Like, if a guy who has like double-digit home runs hasn't hit a home run in like a week or more, then I'm like, okay, he might be due. And a lot of it's cyclical. And I know this from So Rare that like players will have like these peaks, so they have like 2-3 series where they just go off, and then they'll just like plummet for three series. It's so weird. Like a lot of them do that. It's so rare to find someone consistent. There are a few ones like Alvarez or Bobby Witt or like Otani, but like most players have this wave, and so if you can get the upper crest on the wave, that's you typically what you want to do. So that's how I do it. And it says, all right, that works. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks to Rami Slayer. Really appreciate the super chat. I'll let you know. I'll email you about coming on the show in the coming weeks. Okay. So that wraps up that division. We have two more divisions to go tonight. We have the AFC South, and we begin with the Houston Texans. Their over is 9.5 minus 146. The under 9.5 is plus 124, and it looks like the real number is 10 because we kind of have these goofy spreads for the 10.5 as well. So, what do you make of the Texans this year?
Definitely over. What's the price on the over 9.5?
The over 9.5 is minus 146.
It's right. It's slightly above the minus 140 that I like, but I think that Houston with that defense is good enough that I what's the over 10.5?
The over 10.5 is plus 130.
I could play the 9.5 and the 10.5 over.
Yeah, you know what? When I did my season previews, I had Houston at 9-8, but like the more I'm looking at them, the more I'm reconsidering it. Like this is a team I'm more bullish on now. If I had to redo my projections, I think I'd probably fall on like 11-6 or maybe even 12-5. Like I'm considering putting Houston in those exactas that we always talk about, Andy. So
I can see that.
Yeah, and Tom pointed out, by the way, I don't know if you were listening. He said Texans Cowboys exacta, Texas shootout sort of deal. Even though I don't know if Houston's going to score that many points, but still, I like Houston more and more. I would consider the over. I don't know if I'm going to bet it, but I will have some futures on the Texans to win the Super Bowl or put them in exactly.
Yeah. Well, the good thing for Houston getting a decent price for the Super Bowl is that Jacksonville is a good team finally. That there's legitimate competition within that division.
There is, yeah. One team we don't know about though, and before we get to Jacksonville, we have the Colts. The Colts over 7.5 is minus 140. The under is plus 115. So it looks like this is a natural 8 number. I don't know why they just don't do whole numbers, but still, the Colts, they of course, I said that they were the toughest team to handicap just because we don't know the Daniel Jones situations coming with the torn Achilles. Is he going to be 100%? I don't think so, but he could be. So what do you make of the Colts here?
I thought that wasn't he cleared and wasn't I think he said it or somebody said it that he was going to make it on opening day.
Yeah, I think I
didn't believe that.
I think he'll play. Is he gonna be good? That's the big question.
What's the total? 7.5.
7. Well, it's really an 8, but yeah, 7.5 minus 140 over under 7.5 is plus 115.
Under 7.5 plus 115.
Yep.
Well, first of all, because we don't know about the status of Jones, we don't know the status of Taylor in the running game, how that's going to be without Jones in there for possible part of the season. It can only be a weak opinion because of that. Not sure which way I lean on this. I mean, they have been able to get off to decent starts in recent years. So I'm sorry. Repeat the over/under on the 7.5.
7.5 over minus 140. 7.5 under is plus 115.
I'd probably lean under the 115 because of the injury factor at the plus price. But it'll be a weak opinion, meaning that I'm almost certain not to play it. Barring any informational changes.
Yeah, I have him at 5-12, but that's a complete guess because we don't know. Yeah. Like I said, we don't know Jones' situation, and so like if Jones is perfectly healthy, then I think they could definitely go over. But if he's like 70%, and then if he misses a few games here and there, then I would go under. So they're the toughest team to handicap. I still stand by that, which is what I said a month ago. Okay, let's go to Jacksonville, which we've had a high opinion on. Let's see if that's changed.
Yeah.
Jacksonville's over under is 8.5. It's minus 140 for the over, plus 116 for the under. So really, this looks like a 9. So do you
What's the
still
price? What's the price on the over 9.5?
plus 120?
Yeah, I like the over. Right now, I would make that a strong opinion. A strong opinion. I think they're a 10-win team. I like what Cohen did last year with the roster that he inherited, especially what happened with Trevor Lawrence. I think that yeah, I like teams that have success. I mean, it's like kind of like Dan Quinn going in with the rookie Jaden Daniel, which is a little bit different because Lawrence obviously was a veteran. Now, of course, Jaden Daniel got injured last year, so we couldn't really see, and we don't know what'll happen. But if Lawrence is healthy and starts at least 14 games, I think this is a 10-win team.
Yeah, you said 10-win team. I have been 12-win team. I have been 12-5. So I definitely like the over.
When I say a 10-win team,
yeah,
at least a 10-win team, yeah.
Yeah, I understand.
I didn't come up with right now a specific number on that. I will be doing that when I put my NFL newsletter, the preview edition, when I put out my projected straight up record for all 32 teams and get it to balance out at 272 wins and 272 losses. But so I may end up very easily going with because I could see Jacksonville. I think one of them wins 12 and one of them wins 11.
I think that's probably right. Yeah. And we talked about this when we were in Las Vegas.
Right.
It's pretty remarkable that the both these teams won so many games last year, like 13 and 12, despite the fact that they played the NFC West. So
Yeah.
they don't have to go against the NFC West this year. So that'll be a boost for sure. So yeah, I for Jacksonville, I'd be looking at over 10.5 plus 240. Maybe even 11.5 plus 425. That would be a small play, but definitely the
Say this one now. Oh, this Jacksonville is how much in over 11.5?
Over 11.5 is plus 425.
And
So
what's the over 10.5?
240. So
Okay.
yeah, if a small play on the 11.5, but I definitely like the over at 10.5 as plus 240. Maybe you can find a better number. We'll see. I will be posting that on the site.
So if I have it correctly, you have Houston over, you have Indianapolis pass,
Yep.
and you have Jacksonville over strongly.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. And the final team in the NFC South, we have the Titans. They're a natural 6.5. 6.5 over is minus 105. 6.5 under is minus 115. So, yeah, I think that you said earlier that the Titans could show improvement, but we may not see it in the record. So,
I mean, they'll be more competitive. I mean, when you go back last year and you take a look at, let's see if I get the light on here. The early start of the season, an 8-point loss at Denver, a 14-point loss at home to the Rams, 21-point loss at home to Indianapolis, 26-point loss at Houston, although I think that was a 6-0 game entering the fourth quarter, if I recall.
Yep.
And then they beat that Arizona. They beat Arizona on the road in that terrible game that was a bad beat for everybody.
Andy, that game comprised 10% of my book.
Oh,
okay.
It
was 52,000 words, and 5,200 of those words were on that game.
Okay, then after a 10-point loss at Vegas, 18-point loss at home to New England, a 24-point loss at Indianapolis, 7-point loss to the Chargers, 6-point loss to 6-point loss to the bye on the open date. No, 3-point loss at home to Houston. They started to get more competitive a little bit. A 6-point loss to Seattle, 22-point loss at home to Jacksonville, a 2-point win at Cleveland, 13-point loss at San Francisco, 17-point win over a hapless Kansas City team, 8-point loss at home to New Orleans, and a blowout loss to Jacksonville at the end of the year. The point is they started off getting blown out, and then they became more competitive. I would expect the number of blowouts to decrease this year, and the number of competitive games, some of them to turn into wins. But how do we get to 7 wins? Well, you beat the Jets at home on opening week. You pull a mild upset at the Giants in week 3. You pull an upset at Indianapolis a couple of weeks later. You beat Cleveland at home. Then late in the season, you beat Washington at home and early. You beat Indianapolis again in the rematch. You win at Las Vegas. That's basically how you get to 7 or 8 wins. I don't see all that happening.
I don't either. So
I could see them. No, no, I am going to bet them under the 6.5.
Okay.
Because remember, you have a coach who is in his first year with the franchise, a defensive coach, and the key to Tennessee that we saw a lot last year, they averaged 17 points a game while allowing 28. So clearly, offense needs to improve by at least a field goal, if not more, per game. I'm not sure that they're going to be able to do that, even though I like Cam Ward. Opposing defenses have had, our defensive coordinators have had a chance to break down Cam Ward's game. And now you're going to a situation where, I don't know how much input Saleh will have other than maybe some very general input as far as, hey, we think we can show some improvement on defense and keep games close, but we still got to, score some points. So I think they will be an improved team, and we may see a number of 21-17 losses.
Yeah, I would suspect that the number of blowouts go down. Now, unfortunately, I've watched a number of their games because of my book, and they're some of their late season results were complete BS. Like they only losing to the Chargers by 6 or 7. Like that was a massacre that they just got close at the end. Same with Seattle. Seattle was dominating them, and then they allowed a couple of touchdowns late. So it was like garbage time. So like it's not like they lost close games, but they were not competitive in those games. So
they're competitive to the extent that they could have been blowouts by larger, or those competitive scores were blowouts. So they were trying at the end of the game. They didn't just throw it in, is what I'm saying. So you might say that they were not competitive throughout. We saw a lot of games, where teams up, 24-0, and the final score, is 27-20. Okay, at least the team that's down 27-0 or 20-0, whatever it is, didn't quit. I like to see that. New Orleans was a team that didn't quit. And they played some good games at the at the end of the season. In fact, that we talked about that earlier. I think they won 4 of their last 5 games in a row, and down the stretch, I think they were 7-1 against the spread ATS. So the Saints, they won games, but they even showed more improvement because in addition to those wins, and they weren't against great teams, but they were still wins. But they covered 7 out of 8 spreads. So the wins were a little bit more impressive because they exceeded expectations by not just winning games, but also by obviously covering when they won as underdogs. But even I think a couple of the games may have been as favorites that they covered by. In other words, they played better than expected, which is a sign of a team that was playing hard. And you often see that under a first-year coach. Now, that's not the case last year because the Titans did not have a first-year coach, as I recall. Did they last year?
No, Callahan. Was second year.
Callahan, that was his second year. So I think Tennessee will be more competitive this year, but I think it's hard to find them winning 7 games.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I have them at 4-13. I completely agree. Like, they'll be more competitive, but they won't show up in the win-loss column.
Is this a game you're going to play?
I'm considering. It's not a big play. I'm leaning toward playing it. And if I do play it, it might be under 5.5 plus 154. But
now, what was this? Yeah, what was the 6.5 under that you had?
minus 115.
Yeah, that's a good number.
Yeah, I
know about your tying up the money and everything for a year, but a win is a win.
Yeah, I know, especially when you can short space.
Remember, when you're betting a team at 20-1 to win the Super Bowl, the odds are against it. Now, if it's a win, it's a nice return, but in more likelihood than not, it's a loss. The same 1 unit or whatever. So, if I can double my money and I have to wait 6 months for it, hey, show me a bank where I could do better than that.
Well, I'll show you this on the screen. You could short Spaceman. And
hold on a second here. Let me see that here. Oh, okay. Where's that at now? 961.
961. It was a month. 1 month ago. It was the 2268. So you can do a lot better if you can find the right place. Which I've been all over this. So this fraud. By the way, the 950 million shares get locked. Get released tomorrow. So
Oh.
that it could be a bloodbath here.
Tomorrow or Friday?
Tomorrow. Oh, sorry.
Tomorrow?
No, August 6th. It is now
Tomorrow, yeah.
past
Oh,
midnight,
happy
yeah.
birthday.
Thank you. 44. Made it to 44.
Oh.
How about that? Yeah, you said this is why I don't want
That's
to
what you should have had puts at on this fund.
Oh, I
44.
put yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's at, 44, yeah.
Yeah. Did it ever reach 44? Let's see. It was close. It was the high was 38.26. So not quite, but I had
When did the fund begin?
June 15.
Of this year?
Yep.
Oh, that was the SpaceX thing.
Yeah, SpaceX this is the bull double leverage ETF. So yeah, it's been a fun ride. I think I might be closing out some positions tomorrow if there is the bloodbath that I'm suspecting there will be. Okay, let's. I think I will look to play the under 5.5 if I find a good number for it. But we have one more division to go in the AFC, and then we will do the NFC next week. The AFC West begins with the Broncos. Their over under is 9.5. It's a clean one. Over 9.5 is -115. The under 9.5 is -105. My take on the Broncos. So curious to hear what you have to say about this. Are you playing it?
I like the under 9.5.
Okay. How much?
Probably a strong opinion on that.
Okay.
I think that you're gonna see. Let me see what they do with Kansas City last year.
They swept them.
They swept them. I don't see that happening this year.
Yeah, Mahomes was out for the second game.
Yeah. I can see. No, I'm saying that with Mahomes being out, that's 2 wins. They swept them, but it's still 2 wins that they got. I don't expect them to do that this year, and they may even be swept rather than go 1-1.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So, let's see. I could see them splitting with the Chargers, and depending upon the improvement of the Raiders, although to be fair, Denver does catch the Raiders on November 22nd, the week before Thanksgiving, coming right off of their bye. Their 2 games before that were home to Kansas City and at Carolina. I'm sorry, looking for the game at Las Vegas. I could see if the Raiders are improved, they might be able to beat Denver in week 15. Denver will be coming off of a couple of what should be easy wins, home to Miami and at the Jets. They might take Las Vegas a little bit lightly. Now, we don't know if Denver will be in a playoff position, but I could see this team, which was, let me see, they were 5-12 in 2022, then 8-9, then they were 10-7 in 24, and then of course 14-3 last year. So there's another team that could have some regression, and I could see them dropping down to 9-8 at a plus price. So I could make it a strong opinion.
Surprisingly, I'm higher than you are, even though I don't like them. I have them at 10-7. Although I think I was kind of considering flip-flopping them with Houston. I think they play each other, if I'm not mistaken. So I think I would have Houston beating them. So that would drop them to 9-8.
They do not play Houston. They host Jacksonville in week 2 after the Kansas City game.
Okay, so it might be. I'm thinking something else, but I was thinking just flipping their records without the.
They host the Rams. They're at San Francisco. They're at the Chargers. They host Seattle. So that's a little bit of a rough stretch.
Yeah.
Kansas City, which is a playoff caliber team, with Mahomes. Jacksonville made the playoffs. Rams made the playoffs. San Francisco made the playoffs. Chargers made the playoffs. Seattle made the playoffs. Arizona made it to the end of the season. Kansas City, a playoff caliber team. Carolina made the playoffs. Open date. And then they host Vegas, at Pittsburgh, Miami, at the Jets, then at Vegas, and then they finish the season playoff Buffalo at New England Chargers. The Chargers.
So it's a tough stretch, then a reprieve, and then another tough stretch for them. It's not a great schedule by any means. I think I was thinking of flip-flopping the records and like having Denver 9-8.
Where do you rate? Oh yeah, I would definitely would have Houston with a better record than Denver. I
Yeah,
would think. Yeah,
yeah.
but where would you rate Bo Nix as a quarterback?
I,
No, I'll go 1 to 11, 12 to 22, 23 to 32.
he is definitely in the 12 to 22 range, probably 17, 18, 19. I would think. Well,
And
why? Why do you have?
How much? No, I probably have him in the lower part of that range.
Okay, yeah, okay,
15 to 20, let's say 16 to 22,
yeah, yeah,
just below average, just below 15. Well, 15 and a half is no, I'm sorry, 16 is average. I'd probably have him in that range of 17 to 22.
yeah. We're
Well,
definitely in agreement there. Yeah.
yeah. What do you have his injury risk at?
Well, I mean, coming off the ankle injury, I mean, he could re-injure it. You know, ankle injuries can linger. So
How do you rate their offensive line and the receivers?
I like their offensive line. The receivers are good. They added Jalen Waddle. I think Waddle's
Yeah.
overrated, but I do like Pat Bryant a lot. I think that he could make a nice jump in his second year.
I'm sorry. Who did you say you broke up?
They added Jalen
No.
Waddle. I'm
Yeah,
not
no,
a
I
fan
heard.
of his.
Who
And then
did you mention after that?
I like Pat Bryant a lot. He's
I'm
the
sorry.
third round.
Who you missed it? You broke up again.
Pat Bryant, the
No, you're
third
breaking up
round.
a bit. Okay.
Really is it
Okay,
me
Matt
or
Bryant.
is
Okay,
he?
yeah.
Yeah. Pat Bryant, third round rookie
Uh,
for last year, and he played pretty well last year at times, and I think that he could make a jump this year. Then of course they have Cortland Sutton, Evan Ingram, so they have some nice
Yeah.
weapons. I think their defense is overrated, as we talked about. They lost John Franklin Myers as a big loss, but obviously they still have some other great players there. So I think they're a good team. I don't think they're a great team, but there will be regression for sure with the tougher schedule. So I think 9 or 10 wins is
we
right.
talked about that though. How much of a tougher schedule it is because the teams that won their division last year or 2024 for the most part finished second in 2025.
Yeah, well, I mean, you read it off. I mean, those are all tough opponents.
No, it's still tough, but it's not as tough
Yeah.
as it could have been if Kansas City were a division winner last year, like they had in the previous 8 or 9 years. If
Yep.
Baltimore were a division winner, as they were for many years, as although they did Cincinnati was up there a couple of times, or Buffalo, which had won like 7 or 8 division titles in a row. So the fact that Denver doesn't have to play, well, they have to play one of them. They have to play Buffalo because they play the AFC East.
Yeah, and Pittsburgh was one of the easier games that you mentioned. So, like, if that was
Yeah.
a Baltimore, it would be even tougher.
Yeah.
And then Houston, Jacksonville, you can go either way there. So that is the other game. So, it's sure.
But
It's
again,
easier than it could have been.
If you finish first or second in the AFC, well, if you finish first they play the AFC East anyway. So if you finish first or second in the AFC North, you still finished a 9-8 and 8-9 team. First and second. Baltimore, of course, was not as bad as an 8-9 team would suggest, but that's what they were. And then in the South, you played. There wasn't much of a difference between Jacksonville and Houston, other than the second place team, Houston. It was and is a more experienced playoff team, having made it 3 years in a row. All 3 years that DeMeco Ryans has been their head coach, and elite defense those 3 years.
Yeah,
certainly the last 2 years. Yeah,
absolutely. Okay. So you like them under? I'm unsure on this one.
You can come back next week. You can come back next week and
right.
Well, next week we fill in our passes for this week, and then of course do the NFC.
Yeah, the Chiefs are over 10.5 plus 115, under 10.5 minus 140. Mahomes gone with the injury, of course. Torn ACL. We don't know how he's going to play. Travis Kelce looks like he's eating too much wedding cake. Showed up fat at training camp. And Rashee Rice, of course, fresh out of prison. So, there are some downsides here, but it is Mahomes, still Andy Reid, still tough to bet against this team. How do you? You've been beating the drum on Houston here. Are you still betting them over, or planning to bet
Kansas
them over?
City?
Kansas City. Kansas City.
Yeah, I still like them over at a plus price. I like them to get 11-6 or worse. Or better rather, 11-6 or better. This is a team, and again, I put a lot of stock in the history of Andy Reid and Spagnola. And yeah, there's different players to work with. I know the defense is retooled a little bit, but Spags has shown in the past that he's been able to integrate players that may not have been considered outstanding players or even really Pro Bowl type players to be able to be assimilated into his schemes. And I think also having, well, of course, Mahomes didn't miss all that much time last year, but they were on the other side of the games that they were on the right side the year before. And I think, and I wonder how much of that confidence or lack of confidence or diminished confidence carried over even to the start of last season with the whipping they took in the Super Bowl the year before.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they were
I
not
think a
even
lot. I think
competitive.
a lot of opponents, I think, took advantage of some of the things Philadelphia was able to do. And now, of course, what Philadelphia did, that was one game sample. It
Mhm.
just happened to be the biggest game of the year that provided that sample.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was a beating, and so it was
Yeah.
bad all around for Kansas City last year, and but they could improve for sure. I have them though at 9-8, so if I had to play this, it would be under. But I'm not looking to fade Reed and Mahomes coming
No.
off a playoffless season. It's
Yeah.
not something I think is a good
Well,
idea.
I look immediately, and again, I don't know that it'll happen, but I could certainly see if there's a sweep in the Denver KC series this year, I think it would be KC. Mahomes, his
Yeah.
his motivation is about as high a level as any athlete we've seen, maybe since like a Tom Brady.
Yeah. He definitely plays with a
His
huge chip on his shoulder.
preparation, his preparation, his intelligence, his leadership.
Hmm.
Right now, probably some guys I haven't thought of right now that could say that about, but he's got an 8-10 year record of it.
Yeah.
I'd have to say, as much as I like Josh Allen, if I'm looking for a guy to win a big game, as much as I like Josh Allen, I'd be picking Mahomes.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to
And,
say.
and by the way, forget about the defenses. Let's say the defenses are equal, and we're just talking about who would I like to lead a final drive. Has to be Mahomes.
What do you make of the stat of Mahomes' accuracy last year, downfield accuracy, on passes of more than 10 yards? He
Mm-hmm.
was third worst in the NFL among starters in accuracy downfield.
How did that
And
compare to let's say the 2 or 3 previous years?
actually, in 2024, he wasn't that good either, but he wasn't bottom three. But before that,
Yeah.
he was great. So it's declined in the past 2 years. And by the way, the only two quarterbacks worse than him were Michael Penix and JJ McCarthy. So not a
Okay. Yeah.
good
Well,
company
I
to be.
also wonder how much the injury that ultimately ended his season may have been lingering there a little bit. That the tendon or whatever
Yeah.
was sort of loosening up a little bit. He wasn't as sharp last year, but he didn't have as great a talent around him. And again, and again, how much of it came from what opposing defenses may have done that Philadelphia was so successful in doing in the Super Bowl?
Right. Yeah. No, I think he
Um,
could definitely rebound. It's worrying that's
yeah.
in 2 years that he's had this bad accuracy, and I think some of it has to do with the bad talent around him.
Yeah.
But the Chiefs didn't really add anyone at receiver, so we'll see. I mean,
No, but
they've been hyping
again,
up Cyrus Allen in training camp. We'll see
yeah.
see if he
But
does
then again,
anything.
the total is 10.5. So
Yeah.
the guys who have money riding on this, the bookmakers, and again they put numbers expecting the public to bet it, and
Hmm.
they expect the public to pick. But also a lot of the public and a lot of the sharp people will say, hey, last year was the Super Bowl was a decline that matched the good fortune they had in the regular season when they won all those close games. It was like get even time. Last year, the lack of success was a validation that what we saw in the Super Bowl, which sort of masked a lot, which would mask a lot of the close wins that they had during the regular season, was a validation or let's say a prediction of what might have happened in 2025. That okay, you got away with everything in 2024, you're not going to get away with it in 2025. Everybody's a year older, okay?
Yeah.
And now the question is, can they recover, and by how much? And again, I'm down on Denver somewhat, although I like Peyton and I like the team fundamentally. I'm higher on their defense than you are, but I still look for there to be a bit of a decline here. Even though, again, as we talked about it, they had good records the last 2 seasons making the playoffs. each of the last 2 seasons. Did the Broncos. So I can see Kansas City again. They were they were not a 6-11 team. Now, are they a 10-11? Are they 11-6 team this year? I just put so much faith in Mahomes, Reed, and Spagnuolo that getting them over at a plus price, over 10.5 to go 11-6, pedigree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fair.
Because remember, if you remember, everything that I just said was one of the reasons, or a main reason, why last season I finally did not play them over their season win total, despite Andy Reid's outstanding record in teams going over the season win total, dating back to his days with Philly in the late 90s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a surprise when you were like, "Oh, you're betting." I'm like, "You betting Chiefs over again?" Because you always do it, and then you're like, "No." I'm like, "Oh, wow." So the things, and you did a great job of calling that.
Well, and I'm sure that at the start of the season or at coming into training camp, I would naturally look at Kansas City over until I studied more of the data and the situations that I wanted to look at, the scheduling dynamics, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And when it hit me that. In fact, I don't remember. I'll see if I could find it while we're here, because I think I have newsletters that I print every year. I do, how good were teams realistically based upon their their win-loss record of the previous season. And I said, well, if you reverse all the games decided, I think by 3 points or less, or 6 points or less, and you turn wins into losses and losses into wins, what would the team's record have been? Mm-hmm. And I want to see if I could find that issue from last year. And
they played so many close games. Like, that would
no, that's what I'm saying. That they were, their record in 2024, the Super Bowl year, when they played so many close games that they won, they were 14-3, and I think they could have easily been like 8-9 or 9-8. If the close wins were reversed and the close losses were reversed. And that was a signal to me, combined with what happened in the Super Bowl, that suggested that, I'm not going to say that they're going to have, a record of, worse than, say, 11-6 or whatever the season win total would have had them needed to win to get over, 10.5, let's say. But I wasn't going to bet over, because when you have that many close games, it was Minnesota. Remember the year they had all those close wins? They were like 12-0 in one-score games or something.
No, yeah. That was
and then they had that horrible record the following year. Well, that was basically Kansas City in 2024.
Right.
Now, there's a lot difference between the Kansas City Chiefs, who had this long history of winning, and all of a sudden they had a year where every game or so many of their games went in their favor, than the Minnesota Vikings, who did not have a previous 5 or 6 year record of excellence. They had some good years and some bad years in there. So for me to basically make that differentiation and say, well, I can explain Minnesota a lot easier, because that was a surprise season, 2022. Okay. Mm-hmm. Kansas City's season in 2024 was a surprise season in a different way, because they won all the close games and had an outstanding record, a record that was similar to previous years where they didn't have to win so many close games, where instead of winning by 3 or 4 or 6 points, they were winning by 10 or 13. Right. So it was unusual in the way that they got to the record that they had, which was similar to records in the past. So that was a concern, that all of a sudden, in 1 year, it was not comparable to the Minnesota situation, but it was possible, because Kansas City, that's an aging team. They're now 1 year older this year, but they were a team that had that long history of having great success, and they really didn't have to rebound from a bad year in 2024, because they had that 14-3 record. They had a rebound from losing the Super Bowl the way they did. But hey, there was every reason to think that they could go 14-3, they could go 12-5, whatever. But the fact that those had all those close wins that would have been losses and vice versa had me concerned. And then when I factored in what we saw in the Super Bowl and the age, wasn't enough for me to predict them to have a losing season, anything like that, but it was a good enough reason to not expect them to go over the total, because those close wins were a potential signal of things to come. And it turned out to be that way. Only those close wins turned into losses. So, now when I do the study for this year, though all those close losses they had last year, I'm going to say, what would their record have been if those close losses were wins? And I'll probably find out that their record probably should have been 11-6 instead of 6-11.
Yeah, that'll make sense for sure. Speaking of teams that had a lot of close wins, the Raiders they didn't have many close wins at all. The Raiders are 5.5. Their over is -146. The under 5.5 is +120. So it looks like this is a natural 6. That they don't have whole numbers here. And I think you mentioned the Raiders as being in that basket of teams that are going to be improved, but won't see it in the win-loss column. Their schedule is brutal, despite having a fourth place schedule. So I assume you're going to like the under. Or what do you think here?
Now, what did you say the under 5.5 is?
+120.
Yeah, I like that. I have it as a weak opinion to the extent that they may be able to win some games. Can they get to 6 wins? Well, let me go here, and this is a different exercise than when I gave teams, half a win. I'm just going to say, home against Miami is a potential win, a likely win. I'll say they're favored. Okay, At the Chargers, I would say unlikely to win. At New Orleans, I think it would be tough. Home to Kansas City, I think it'll be tough, although I'll be rooting because I'll be at that game, so I don't know if I'll be betting it. At New England, New England's playing to avenge that opening week loss from last year. Yeah. Home to Buffalo, home to the Rams. So here we are through 7 games. They should be, I would think, 1-6. They could be 2-5 if they can happen to win at New Orleans, because I can't see them winning at the Chargers, at New England, or home to Buffalo, or home to Kansas City. Okay, so let's say they're 1-6. Theoretically, they could win at the Jets, but I don't know. But let's see. In fact, let's even say in the most optimistic situation, they beat the Jets. So I'll give them the win at the Jets and the win over Miami. I'll still count New Orleans as suspect. At San Francisco, home to Seattle, at Denver, at Cleveland. And I will say, you know what? Let's give them a let's see what I gave them a win at the Jets, and I gave them a win over Miami. Let's say I give them a win either at Cleveland or at New Orleans. So we're at 3. Okay. And then, although the Cleveland game could be tough because they will have played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 games, and then they finally get their bye in week 13. Then they host the Chargers. They host Denver. I'm going to say they have a chance to win that Denver game, which at most would get them to 4. They host Tennessee and then at Arizona. So, which would get them. So Denver would get them to 5. Tennessee would get them to 5. Win at Arizona would get them to 6. And then at Kansas City, probably a loss at the end of the season. However, that's expecting them to win at Denver, at Tennessee. I'm sorry, home to Denver, home to Tennessee, and at Arizona. And I see more likely it's no more than 1 win in those 3 games. So whereas I said there's a potential for possibly a 7, I'm not even comfortable thinking that there's going to be a 6.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like I said, the schedule is so difficult.
Let me put it to you this way. Let me go to at New Orleans and at the Jets, where I said, you know what? I think they'll split those games. However, if I think there's going to be a sweep, I would think it's more likely 2 losses than it would be 2 wins.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. So, I have them at 3-14. Okay. Despite the fact that I think they'll be better, just like you.
By the way, you're passing on Denver right now, right?
Yes, I'm passing on Denver.
The Vegas, I guess you're looking under.
Yeah, I'm leaning it, but I don't know. They're going to be better. Plus, like, Mendoza is an unknown. Like, what if he comes in and is an awesome right away? Like, so yeah, I'm leaning under the Raiders, but no, I don't think I'm going to play it.
Okay.
So
I will take away my down arrow for you.
Okay. All right. Well, it's yeah. If I had to play it, it would be
Yeah.
under for sure. All right. The final team we're going to talk about tonight, the LA Chargers, called the San Angeles Chargers. They are over 9.5 is -140. The under 9.5 is +115. This is a team that we've been high on all off season. Has anything in the past
Yeah.
month that made you change your mind?
What's the over 10.5? No, what's over the 10.5?
+130.
I like that. I like both the
Yeah.
over 9.5. You know, this is one of those where I might play one unit on the over at the minus vig and 2 units on the over 10.5. Look, all Harbaugh's done his first 2 years was win 11. It was go 11-6 and 11-6 in the regular season.
Yep. What about 11.5? It's +240. Was that too rich? Or
Say that again. Over 11.5.
+240.
I just don't think the price is high enough on that.
Yeah, it should be like 270, right? Like, I don't know,
I would say
280.
in the 270 to 290.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, like I said, maybe you can find there are so many sports books out there. Maybe you can find a better number, or maybe this is the best number.
sorry.
but
What did you
you
say what did you say? What did you say the over 10.5 is?
It is +130.
Yeah, I'll be happy with that.
I have the Chargers.
I'd like to see. Yeah. Go ahead.
I have the Chargers at 12-5. So yeah, I'd be looking at +130 maybe, and then I do like the over 11.5 +240 for sure. The over 12.5, which again I would 12-5,
Yeah.
so it is +450. So that price looks a little attractive, but I think I would stick to the over 11.5.
So you would go over. You wouldn't go over the 9.5. You'd go over the 10.5 and 11.5.
Yes. I don't want to
Save
lay
this,
-140. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we're in agreement there for
Yeah.
sure. We both love the Chargers. We both love the Bengals.
And what you have with so the Chargers is a play on the over, and and that's the only one that you have in the division. You didn't do anything with Kansas City, right?
No, I'm not touching the Chiefs. No.
Okay. That's right. You said you were saying you're not betting, you're not going over, but you're not betting against Andy Reid.
Yeah, or
At
Reid
Mahomes,
plus
so, yeah.
Reid plus Mahomes off a season where they didn't make the playoffs. It
Yeah.
seems like a bad idea to fade that. So, yeah, there's a lot of cause for negativity with the Chiefs. They have a lot of downside, it feels like, but then again, they have this massive upside too, the bounce back potential. So I really don't want to kind of tempt fate there. So,
Yeah.
all right, so yeah, that's it for the AFC teams. We're 2 hours and 10 minutes in, so kind of close to what our goal was.
That's not bad.
We have the NFC next week, and maybe we'd be talking a little bit more preseason football as well, because we'll have a full slate of games next week, which is when the real preseason games begin. So, Andy, do you have any final?
Well, if you call them real preseason games, you mean the wannabe games.
Right. Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, that's
in Israel, I think it's in basketball. Well, they have the Maccabee games.
Yeah,
they have the wannabe games for the NFL guys. Looking at rosters.
Wannabe, yeah. It is.
Wannabes,
It's not real football, but it's all we got this month. So it's.
I watch them, but I don't like using the words always and never, even though I occasionally don't catch myself and do. But I rarely, I would say, bet a preseason football game. But I do watch as many as I can, whether it be live or on tape, to see how teams, are looking. Are they playing the way that I expect they would play? How I think they might play? Do I see negative things that I'd be concerned about? I'm sure you do the same thing. I'm sure you watch all the games.
Yeah, I haven't missed a preseason game in more than 10 years.
I thought you were going to say 42 years.
Yeah. I do recaps of all of them. I keep track of targets starting quarterbacks make to the starting receivers, just to keep track of that. I was able to get a big edge on that in 2007 when Brady was just targeting Wes Welker so much in the preseason. This is back when starters actually played, but that gave me a good indication that Welker was going to be a big player that year.
That was the year that they went unbeaten, right, in regular season.
Yeah.
07.
So yeah. So I had a fantasy team where I drafted Randy Moss and then Brady and then Welker, and so that team felt invincible. So yeah, you could get some edges.
How did it do? Did it win?
Yeah, I won the championship. Yeah, I went like
Okay.
11-2 in the regular season, and then I won the
Mhm.
championship. Yeah, it was great. So, yeah, so you can get some advantages by watching, but it's not as great as it used to be when all the starters played, unfortunately. But yeah,
Now, how much do you watch, for example, NFL Network uh, during training camp to pick something up, or maybe get reports from people who watch training camps and say, "Hey, this quarterback is working really well." Let's say, for example, I'll just throw it out there, and let's say Aaron Rodgers is getting a really good rapport with Pittman. Okay,
yeah,
and that it sort of leads you to believe that once the regular season starts, Pittman is going to be a bigger part of the offense than might generally be expected, especially with Aaron Rodgers. But all of a sudden, you realize that Pittman might be the number one receiver.
we actually were talking about that last night with Kenny, and he's a huge proponent of not listening to the media in the preseason or training camp because they can
Right.
lead you astray pretty badly
Yeah.
with flawed reporting. Like there are only like a handful of reporters I trust because a lot of times it'll be for clicks. Sometimes they'll get bad info. Sometimes they'll look at a few plays and ignore the others. It's hard to trust these people fully.
Well, let me ask you a question. I'm going to interrupt and ask you this question. I think it's a simple question to ask. I'll be interested in your answer.
Mhm.
Who would you trust more in preseason evaluations of preseason games, etc.? Journalists or former players?
Depends who the journalist is, right? Like I said,
I would say it's more of the former players because the players know the intricacies of what the coaches are trying to do. Well, formations and
Mhm.
action before, etc. Defensive alignment. Things that they're coming from a hey, we practiced. I practiced for 20 years doing exactly what they just did on that last play, and here's why.
Yeah,
So in
no,
other words,
that makes sense.
in evaluations, I would trust players. Now, yeah, players could have their favorite active players, but I think from an X's and O's standpoint, the now there are some journalists who are very well tuned in and have good sources and all that, but you're looking to you want to eliminate as much of a potential bias. I would think that the plus I think the players want to increase or maintain their credibility with the audience, and so they're talking
Yeah,
about what they actually think, as opposed to uh, media who may have some subconscious or conscious differences with some of the players they want to interview and things like that.
yeah,
Although I will say I don't know that I'm as skeptical as you are with the journalists, but I could certainly see that yeah they want to pump things up. Now I think a lot of it has to do with are these journalists employees of the organization
mhm.
or organizations or medias of let's say of like I was going to say the New York Times, but they don't have the original sports section anymore. But are they USA Today or a national publication or like a CBS or an NBC or something like that who telecast the games but don't have any direct tie-ins with NFL teams? Those journalists who probably get a lot of good information um, might be able to share some information that is actually negative.
Yeah. I mean, well, if there's a journalist who's basically a mouthpiece for the team, you
Yeah.
don't want to
Well,
listen to them.
you probably know who those are or can
Yeah, yeah,
recognize them. I'm
sure.
talking about a, a, a journalist who might say, "I have a source on the Los Angeles Chargers who indicates there is some concern that Justin Herbert is a little bit slower, spreading away from center than he was last year."
Hmm.
Something like that, where he doesn't.
Yeah,
He may identify the team, but not the source of the information. It
yeah.
kind of like what Charlie does.
Right, right. Yeah,
Right?
exactly. Like
Now,
there are a handful. Right.
there may be sometimes where he does not identify the team,
Yeah.
but
There are a handful of journalists I would trust.
yeah,
Like if like Cecil Lammy, for example, he covers the Broncos. Like if he says something, then I am definitely listening to that.
okay,
But the average journalist, if sometimes it might just be for clicks,
yeah.
and you can't really trust it. So you have to take it with a grain of salt. And
Well, you can trust
yeah.
it, but you don't know it until after the fact. then what he said was right. For example.
Right,
Or
but
she.
then again,
Yeah.
some reporters have a history of just being wrong all the time,
Yeah.
and so you kind of have to remember who is right and who is wrong. Obviously, no one's gonna be right 100% of the time. No one's gonna be wrong 100% of the
Not
time.
even,
but,
not
you
even, not even the comment about Geno Smith.
know. That's
Is that
true.
one of the wrong journalists you're referring to?
Yeah, she actually she works for the Rams, Mina Kimes,
Okay.
in the preseason, or at least she used to. I don't know if she still does, but she calls the Rams games with Marshall Faulk. Um, so
How would you trust Marshall Faulk? Now he would perhaps have to be careful in talking about the Rams because he
Yeah.
knows things in practice and as an ex-player that probably if he wants to keep his job with the Rams, he wouldn't come out and say. He might say there is some concern with our linebacking core.
Yeah.
Leave it at that.
Yeah, no. If Falk is on TV and he says, the Rams are really high on this receiver, for example, then that would catch my attention for sure because he's talking to the coaches,
And he's also talking positive where positive is warranted.
Yeah, right.
It's not like another team is going to say, "Oh my God, look at this Rams receiver," when they've seen film of him, throughout the receiving, and they can identify that he's a good receiver. It's no secret.
Right. Yeah, but yeah, if it's some guy that you're like, oh, I heard of him, but I didn't realize he was even on this team, and then they're like, oh, the Rams are really hoping for a big season from this guy. And then that is something that you have to keep in mind.
Take with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Or with a fifth of liquor.
Yeah, that's true. That sounds better.
Or with a grain of salt inside the liquor.
Drew with the right answer. You can trust Diana Rossini with the Patriots. Oh yeah, she has the inside info for sure. Brady Welker Moss combo was my Kyron Puka Rams combo, which got me nice undefeated. I've never done undefeated season. I have done 11-2 multiple times, but never undefeated. I'm not the most active fantasy manager. I like never make trades. Like I'm so slow on the waiver wire. I don't know. I'm like I did win my big money league last year, but like. I could be better, It's just I don't know.
What did you think of Stephon Diggs?
I like the move. I mean,
a receiver without the last name Ayuk.
Right. No, I like the move is for 1 year, so even if he struggles, then they don't really risk much. So Diggs is not obviously he's not the same player he once was, but like he's still a very. Yeah, he still could be like a very solid number 2 possession receiver, and he has experience. So I think that could help.
They've got a good McLaurin.
And I like Chiggy Okonkwo, their tight end. I think
who's who's going to be the featured back?
It's one of Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, Rashad White, or Katron Allen.
Oh, okay. We'll find out.
Yeah, to figure that one out
in the training camp. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, that could be
healthy
during the season.
That's a nice.
That's right.
We
That's
could
something
see
that could
the
be
NFC East being a high-scoring division this year.
Sorry, what'd you say?
Because what do you call it? No, I'm saying that the NFC East could be a high-scoring division this year.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Just says, truth be told, I was in ESPN Public League with that team. I didn't make a single trade. That's awesome. That's great. That's really cool that you were able to go undefeated. All right, Andy.
So often, these leagues are won with the draft.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
injuries always play, but I mean, if you can identify, you identified a couple of guys last year in the draft that were not highly thought of. I think wasn't one with Tampa Bay with with Evans being injured and all that last year.
I love the Buka. I bet him offensive rookie of the year, and that broke my heart. That, by the way, one of the chapters in the book.
Go ahead. What I was going to say is, you're not an active manager. Does that mean that you don't do a lot of things with the waiver wire? Or do you not have the waiver wire in some of those leagues?
I'll check and I'll do the waiver wire each week. What I don't do is like each day I'll like check if someone was dropped or something. I have never proposed a trade in my fantasy career ever.
Have you ever accepted a trade?
I have, yeah, I have. I'll look at incoming trades, but I've never
Tom
offered
Brady for
ever.
Brady Cook.
Right. That would be a disaster. I do love, by the way, I do love the punishments for last place fantasy finishes. I don't know if you've seen
Oh,
some of
what?
them.
No, no. What's
So
that?
some leagues have if you finish in last place, 12th place or whatever, you have a punishment. There was one guy I saw a video. He had to go trick or treating in July, and he had to keep going until he got 3 pieces of candy. And then I saw
Three pieces of can. Wait. I guess yeah. Get it. Which came first, the 3 pieces of a candy or the 3 arrests?
right. I know. The other one I saw the other day was a guy had to go golfing with some strangers. Like he had to golf with them, but he had to
Yeah.
golf with no ball. So you had to like pretend to swing. He's like, "Hey, can I join you guys?" And then you had to, like pretend to that he had a
Yeah,
ball.
but they get him out of there, after the first tee. Now,
Yeah.
now what would be interesting, because I've always thought I'd wanted to try it. What if you had to play the entire round with a 5 iron and a putter?
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Yeah,
Um, Depends how
I
long the
mean,
course is, right?
well, I mean, your accuracy would be pretty good, but your distance
Yeah,
might not. But
yeah.
then again, you know what? Sometimes, with a 5 iron, you might work out the physics and see, maybe you don't hit it that high. Maybe you just hit it low and you get a nice momentum on the ball kicking forward as landing at, a 12-degree angle rather than at a 45-degree angle when it comes down from huge loft.
Yeah, it'd be well better than the putter the whole time.
Yeah. Oh, no, no. Putter's just for the green. Yeah.
I don't know, I know, but like, you can imagine putting out of the rough. I've
Yeah. Now, or playing miniature golf with a 5 iron.
that'd be crazy.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah,
By,
yeah.
by the way, I'm glad when you said that the guy had to play golf with no ball instead of no balls. Glad you
Right.
phrased it the way you did.
Yeah, he becomes a eunuch and then that's like golf.
Especially if one of the guys in the remaining threesome is a surgeon
Oh my god! Just do the operational on the tee box.
on the first tee. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well,
By the way,
yeah.
I have decided my next career is going to be I'm going to be a comedian and I'm going to be a dyslexic Don Rickles and call everyone Pocky Hooks.
I'll come to your comedy show. That'd be
Oh,
fun.
you'll be the one.
Yeah. No, it'll be a good time. It'll be a good time. Evan and I will be there. Tom, you'll have
I'll
a
even
crowd.
provide the tomatoes.
That'd be fun. All right, Andy, I have to get going. I have to do some
Yeah.
stuff for the season. Do you want to say anything on the way out? Logicalapproach.com. Anything else?
Yeah, I haven't put any. Well, the last football thing I put up on the website is finally got up the final spreadsheet stats. And there's some of them are unique spreadsheets, and you can go on there and take a look at it. And also, I have them up there for like the past, I don't know, 18, 19 seasons, maybe longer. TheLogicalApproach.com. I do have newsletters and selections and things like that. Yeah, right there. If you scroll down a little bit, I'll show you below. Yeah. If you want information on the newsletters and everything, you can click on that blue link and click down a little further because that's the more important one that I want to talk about. The Las Vegas handicapping contest, the ones at the Circa, the $20 million guarantee for Survivor, and the ones at Westgate, etc., including college football. You click on that link. I explain. Well, I give the highlights of all the 7 contests, the 4 that Westgate runs and the 3 that Circa runs. By the way, Westgate is now, their book is being run by Caesars, but the contest is still being administered by Westgate. But I provide a highlight of the 4 Westgate and 3 Circa contests. I also, for people who want more detailed information, pay structures, etc., in-season contest pay structure, etc., I have a link to the official rules for each one of those contests, so you can see exactly deadlines, procedure, etc., when the lines come out. And of course, you might need a proxy if you're not in Las Vegas or you're not in Las Vegas every week during the season, which is the case for many people who are in Las Vegas if they travel in each week from Southern California, fly in from Northern California, come in from Arizona. To have a proxy to submit, I do proxying, and I explain that process, how that works. The one thing you do need to know is that the the entry has to be filled out and registered here in Las Vegas at one of the sports books that either for the Westgate contest or Circa or a Circa satellite, such as where Walt and I meet at the Tuscany, because that's the person to whom payment will be made. So if you're interested in the contest and what you read sounds good, if you can't make it out to Vegas, if you have a trusted friend, a trusted colleague, or a family member, a trusted family member, well, I would hope that that's not redundant. I hope a family member would be, by definition, be trusted. But hey,
Right.
it's the 2020s. Who knows? But they would be the one who control where the payouts go to. But you would be the one who would provide me with, or whoever you proxy with the selections each week. So you may want to click on that page, and every few days I decide to put up a complimentary play. Right now it's in baseball, but I didn't put one up for a couple of days because I didn't like anything yesterday or today. But we'll see what happens tomorrow Wednesday and Thursday are now getaway days. It used to be just Thursdays. Now you have a lot of series ending on Wednesdays, and 4-game, not wraparound. Wraparounds are Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, but 4-game series Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday have been in greater frequency this year. So anyway, those are the two things, especially the one about the contest, because that's the one I think that a lot of people, I know I do get inquiries about, and there's information there on how to contact me either by email or telephone. If you have a question that is not covered either in the highlights, hopefully it's covered somewhere in the official rules, but there may be. I'm a stickler for details, and occasionally I find a thing that's not covered in the rules, but it's such an unlikely question that would be raised that I don't bring it up to the folks in there. But there have been somewhere I have brought it up, and they said, "Oh yeah, the rules don't cover it, other than this great generic rule which says at the discretion of management."
Okay. It's a good catch-all there. Okay, so yeah, I guys, if you want to enter these contests, I highly suggest using Andy as a proxy. He's been my proxy since like 2010, so it's been it's never let me down. So I would recommend that. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching and commenting. Really appreciate it. Thanks especially to Harambe for the $4.99 super chat. Really appreciate it. 4th day in a row. Thank you so much, Harambe. You're definitely keeping the show going here with your help. Guys, we'll be back tomorrow right after the Hall of Fame game is over. We're going to do a fantasy draft with Mike Lucchine, and then Friday, Tom will be on. So 2 episodes in the final 2 days of the work week here. But please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video, visit walterfootball.com for tons of free NFL content, and I will talk to you tomorrow.
Good luck, everybody.